What's going on, people? Welcome to Lapeef Sports on the Lapeef Network. We introduce the crew. We got Hink. We got Anton. Sway in the morning. Jay, Cal, Avon, me, myself. Lapeef JR. Welcome to Lapeef Sports, guys. What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
What's going on?
Happy Sunday.
Good Sunday morning, fellas.
Sunday.
Yes, sir. Know what it is? Know what it is? Is everybody still watching football?
Yeah, probably.
I'm a watcher, but I ain't got a dog in a fight, baby.
Oh, sound like y'all. It was Anton, if I'm not mistaken, you had a bet early this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you remind the folks what that bet was?
It was something about Brooklyn and Milwaukee, I think.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. But these dudes didn't disappear. One of the dudes, well, no. I had two bets. One bet, I'm only honoring one, and that's the homie that you know. Because the other dude, I seen him on the ops, you know what I'm saying, messing with the ops out there. I said, oh, they out there trying to finesse me. Okay, I see what's going on. I pay attention to everything that's going on. Yeah. So your homie, that bet is still on. We don't even know if the other guy even got the money to even honor the bet if he was to lose anyway. I might have to put the goons on him if he don't show up. So
Ink said you're gonna have to send it to collections.
You talking about me? I told you. Yeah. Way back when
you did.
That dude was sketchy.
Sketchy as ever. So listen. I gotta look back and see exactly what the bet was. I think it was Brooklyn and Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah, it was who went to the finals out of Brooklyn and Milwaukee.
Well, I guess that's going to segue right into our first topic, which is Milwaukee versus the Nets. Like last time they played, the score was 121 to 109. 121 to 109. And in case you haven't noticed, Kyrie is back, but unfortunately he wasn't back for this game. So that leaves me. If Kyrie was playing that game, would they have won, you think?
Nope. Not even a little bit. He's too small of a guard. He had defensive liability. He doesn't have any cohesion with the team because he doesn't play enough with the team in order for them to be able to develop a chemistry long enough for them to actually get a rotation. Listen, the only reason that they brought Kyrie back is because the entire league was suffering as a result of everybody coming down with the pandemic or whatever it is that we want to call it. So the only reason they brought him back is because they had already been paying him $17 million a year anyway. So they was like, yo, we might as well utilize him instead of bringing people up from the G League and stuff like that. But I know a lot of y'all believe in Kyrie. I don't. I never have. I never will. And I think that it takes a certain type of player in order to bring something out of him. I think that Kevin Durant is my favorite to win the MVP this year. But I don't believe that Kevin Durant necessarily makes other players better around him. I think that the only way that Kevin Durant makes players better around him is that I think that he opens up the floor a little bit more for other people to be able to do some things because he's such an offensive threat. But I never believed in Kyrie. I still don't. I do respect his stance on not wanting to do a certain type of thing. You know, I believe in freedom of choice, but just purely off of basketball, I don't see it. It's not going to happen, and I'm looking to collect my money at the end of the season.
All right. Well, I hope you believe in DeRozan, but that's going to be a later conversation.
He's an MVP candidate too. But the problem with DeRozan is that second round of the playoffs, we're going to see a meltdown.
Oh, okay. We'll get there. Here
we go again.
Thank God that LeBron is out of the East because LeBron lived rent free in his head still. I would bet you that DeMar DeRozan probably has. You know how on like them serial killer shows where they be like if you go in a dungeon part and they got like the poster up of the person and they got cross eyes drawn out of the person. I would bet you that in DeMar DeRozan's basement, he has posters up of LeBron with the cross eyes on them, and he probably got darts thrown at it and all of this other type of stuff. LeBron is DeMar DeRozan's daddy forever. So thank God he not in the East.
All right. Who else want to add on this about Kyrie?
I don't think it would have made personally, yeah, I don't think it would have made a difference personally because if we look at that game, Bobby Portis was killing, Chris Middleton was killing. They didn't have Drew Holiday, so I really think that the story about that game was the Bucks. I mean, they dominated. They were without their coach. And Giannis was coming off of I think a break a little bit because he missed a game and he put in like 30 plus points or something like that. So I don't think that Kyrie and then you add on all the things that Anton said about how Kyrie really hasn't been there. They don't have that team chemistry yet. So, adding him, I don't think would have done anything. They might have scored a couple more points, but really, the Bucks are missing some guys too, So I think that it's really just a sign of how dominant the Bucks are. And how much they really haven't lost a step, even when there's guys that they need that aren't playing. One guy on the Nets is not going to overtake the cohesion and chemistry that the Bucks are having right now. So, I think that maybe other teams among the East are going to be, impacted by having Kyrie Irving there. We just talked about the Bulls. If the Bulls go up against New Jersey with a healthy Kyrie Irving, I don't know if Alex Caruso and Kobe White and Io and them are really going to be able to contain Kyrie like that versus some of these other teams where, they have so many weapons that Kyrie got to figure out how he's going to play defense. So I think that Kyrie would not have made a huge difference here. I think that plus the Nets look like they can be beaten. I don't think that teams are really afraid of them like that. Kevin Durant is absolutely, a monster out there, but who else? And James Harden has kind of, muddled his way through the season a little bit. He's really not making that much noise, but he's also not necessarily underperforming. But the Nets as a team, I just don't think that teams are really afraid of them, especially the Bucks, especially Philadelphia. And, if the Bulls and Miami keep kind of, working their way up, I think it's going to be a real close Eastern Conference. So, and I don't think that Kyrie is going to have a major impact unless the Nets make some crazy leaps in terms of their chemistry, in terms of just what they look like, how the story's going on out there. Eventually the whole jab situation gets settled with Kyrie, and that's no longer really a story as the season wanes on, but we'll see how that goes too, because that continues to be a distraction. So, I don't know. I don't really know what the immediate impact will be with Kyrie, but I don't think it's going to be that great compared to some of these other teams that have had, a 4-month head start on getting their chemistry and everything together.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think Brooklyn has chemistry, period, yet. You know what I mean? Like, usually by this time of the year, you'll start to see teams start gelling a lot better, but Brooklyn doesn't even. So to not have chemistry and then to add somebody else into the equation, and James Harden, man, he's out there. It looked like he's still trying to figure out, why they not calling no fouls? You know what I'm saying? He's still trying to figure out, that rule change?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all ain't about to bring that back so I could get this extra 16 points. You know what I mean? Like, he's still trying to figure that out because his whole game was predicated on that, man.
Yeah,
like,
man,
that was a big
change.
part of his game, shooting 12 free throws a game, 13 free throws a game. So if you look at the stat sheet, he's 12 down on his points, so what would have been 26 is 16. What would have been 28, you know what I'm saying? Or what would have been 40 is 28. So it's different. But yeah, I don't think Kyrie had anything. They would have got crushed either way.
Is he really having a bad season though? I'm sitting here, I just pulled it up. He's 22, 8, and almost 10 assists a game, bro. That's not really having a bad season.
But you're looking at the stats. I'm gonna just tell you.
Yeah.
James Harden or Kyrie Irving?
Harden. I mean,
James Harden.
The eye test is different, Avon.
Yeah.
Like, okay, how many shots is he putting up?
That's
How
a
many
struggle in
turnovers do we have? How long into the shot clock before this dude get going? Like, all of that stuff matters, bro. And I am telling you that it's not what you think it is, bro.
What's his numbers percentage?
It looks good on paper.
So what's his 3-point percentage?
I have no idea.
Because honestly, man, like, I agree on James Harden. Like, for the past 2 to 3, 4 years on Houston, I guess other than the first 3 years, he just focused too much on free throws. I would look at his stat line. He would go 9 for 22, but have like 12, 15 free throws made. He'll go 8 for 30, but have another 15. I'm like, how is everyone not seeing that he's just dropping a bunch of free throws? You know what I mean? He's got like 15, 16, 17, and they still calling him like the greatest scorer, better than Michael. I'm like, the dude is
Play
dropping like
lazy.
18 free throws a game. How is this
He
a better
plays so
scorer?
lazy, bro. He
Like
is a
he doesn't.
lazy
You look at
player.
his field goal percentage; it's not even that good. And then I just
He's
knew
shooting
once
at
they took it out.
32%.
Yeah, and that
But
3-point
but it's
percentage
all
is
part
the
of
lowest
free throws.
thing.
All part of the game, though.
Not
It's still
shooting
all part of the
15.
game. Hey, it's still part of the game. It
I get
still
it's a
helps your
part of the
stats.
game,
At
but
the
when
end
we're
of the
talking about
day,
raw
it helps your
scoring
stats.
without free throws, he wasn't shooting at a high clip.
Hey,
He
it's a
was
skill to
always
draw
selling from the
fouls.
3.
It is a
I
skill to
mean,
draw fouls.
it's
It's
a
a skill.
skill until they took it
Yeah.
away.
Well, and hey, you better adjust. You got
Hey,
to
He can't
adjust.
score.
Hey, Hank, that kind of sound like when you be at the gym playing. That's all you do, man. That's all you do.
Yeah, you know where else
You
they
do the
say
same
that
move.
too?
Stop it, then.
I
Stop it.
see my nephews do that when they be playing video games or they playing 2K. Bro, that's all you keep doing is going down low. Like that's because you
Stop me
can't stop it.
until you. Hey, I'm gonna run the same play until you stop it. Why? Why change up? There's
I've
no need
run.
to.
Hey, Hank, you know what flat is in basketball, right? I had a coach literally look like he wanted to jump because I ran flat an entire quarter, and his boy couldn't stop it. I was like, "You don't have no one to guard my guy, so I'm gonna keep running this until y'all figure out to double team him or do something else, man. I'm running until you stop it, bro."
Hey, the most I'm gonna change is if I'm gonna do it to the opposite side that I was originally doing on. On the right, I'm gonna take it to the left. No problem.
Hey,
I'm
you
still
know,
do the same move.
hey, you know why I did it too? You know the Duke slap. You know when they get on defense and they want to
Yeah,
slap.
slap the floor. I can't stand that shit. I
Bro,
can't
this man
stand it.
said and got baked. I said I'm running this back 15 times until he learned never to do that monkey ball stuff ever again, bro.
I know that's right.
There you go.
Hey, but this Kyrie Irving thing, man. Look, I assume he can't play no home games, right? Because of his decision, right? I assume that's what it is. Is
Well,
why he
it's
didn't
not.
play last night. Because it
Well,
couldn't
it's
be because
because
he
of
was
the state. It's the state mandate.
okay. I was gonna say because I know it couldn't be because he's tired. He only played in one game so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think like Antoine and them was saying, I don't think it would have made a difference. But I'm trying to figure out, man. They've been together way too long to not to have some good chemistry. I don't care if the man's coming back late. They've been together way too long, I think, at least a whole year and some change to not have some chemistry, some type of chemistry. But man, they just look bad, man. But you talk about a bunch of guys who's just off of self. You put 3 guys together that's just off of self, and you expect that to work. It's not going to happen.
I
It's
think we're
not going
setting
to
him up.
happen.
I don't think it's
actually
the
think this
chemistry.
is
I
a
just think
setup.
it's undersized and James Harden.
Yeah.
I don't think the chemistry
James
was
Harden's not
bad.
undersized.
No, I'm talking about the whole team is undersized. Like they don't have a real big, solid big. They're power forward. They be putting Kevin Durant there. It's like
Yeah, but NBA, you don't have to have that no more.
I get it, but even at the big, they're not even okay.
Nobody has a bruising guy like that.
But
I
what
think
they
when the
got
playoffs
is
start, that size is gonna matter.
they have
You
an
think
old
so?
LaMarcus Aldridge who's slow,
I know
and then they
so.
have a young skinny cat in Claxton. That's about it.
Playoff basketball becomes a half-court game in playoffs, man.
Well, hey, if that's
And the
if
roster
that's
gets
the
shorter.
case, if that's what you say, Milwaukee won last year, and they got 2 bruisers, and the rest of them are considered a small guy. Holiday small, Middleton small.
I mean, Giannis is
but
different.
Middleton is not small, bro.
Both of them are considered defensive elites.
hold on, are you considering Middleton a 3, right?
Think about it, bro.
He's 6'7".
Outside of
He's
Golden
6'7".
State in the last 10 years, teams with size win championships. The Lakers won before that. Milwaukee just won last year. Teams
Cleveland
with
didn't.
size, when you slow it down, you
Cleveland
got to
didn't have
play a
the size.
7-game series. Who didn't have size?
Cleveland.
Yes, they did.
Who?
How didn't Cleveland have size?
They had Kyrie.
They had Kevin Love, they had Tristan Thompson, and they had Mozgov.
That is size, bro.
And then Golden State didn't really
Mozgov
have any other than that. They had
no starter like that.
Who did they have
Tristan
at center?
Thompson.
Well, it's not the
Tristan Thompson.
It's the size is what I'm saying. Like when you start slowing the game down and the game stop being 130 points versus 120 points, and you start getting in that 102, 101 game, that 98, 99 game, it's a completely different concept. And the only thing that worked for Golden State is that they had the greatest shooters of all time to space the floor. But
yeah,
outside
Anton,
of
with
that,
the way they call it defense now, it's the size doesn't matter anymore.
Okay, then name me
They
another
not
team
letting you
that
touch
didn't
him.
have
You
size
can't
on
touch
them.
a guy.
Okay, name me another team that didn't have size on them that won a championship outside of Golden State.
Well, I said Cleveland. Y'all saying that Cleveland had size.
Yes, they
Tristan Thompson
did.
is not.
Think about it, bro.
They had Kevin Love at the 4.
Kevin Love was a monster. What are you talking about? You
He's
got
not-
He was
He's
grabbing
not-
more
He was
boards in that
leading the
series.
league
He
in
was grabbing like
rebounds.
22 boards in that
real
Until you got
talk.
to
series.
Think about it, bro.
Until you got to
Kevin
Cleveland.
Love saved that team.
Kevin Love had just came from playing power forward in Minnesota. He was literally one of the running MVPs right before he got to Cleveland.
All that's true.
The
But then all of
smallest,
a sudden,
think about
he
it. The
disappeared.
smallest guy,
No,
LeBron
they made him
James.
lose weight to stretch him out. They literally made him lose weight so he could
Bro,
stop being such a
that
big
team
body in
was
the paint.
bigger than you
So he
think he
could
is,
stretch
bro.
the floor out. That's what they
You
did to
look at
Kevin
how
Love.
big
He lost
Kevin Love
weight.
was. Hold on.
Are we talking about height wise or girth? I mean, because there's a difference.
He had both.
Oh, just your
Man, you don't have the
presence
height.
in the paint, your presence on the court, like size, speed, height, everything. What you do
I just
defensively.
said Kevin Love 6'8".
That's
Kevin Love
small.
is 6'10".
Well, they said 6'10". Somebody said 6'10".
Kevin Love is 6'10".
Kevin Love is a 6'10".
Nah, he's not. He's
I don't
not
know.
6'10". He's not.
If he's 6'8", that's small to me.
He's
Okay.
6'10".
I mean, compared to some of the old heads, what they used to be,
Bro, listen.
we know. We know. Look at her.
They got
Look at
Marcus Aldridge.
Tim Duncan was a 7-foot power forward.
Who?
That's big. Tim Duncan.
Yes.
He was a 7-foot power forward.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Garnett was a 6'11", 7-foot power
Correct.
forward.
You
Those
name
are big.
all guys that are champions. I agree with you.
I understand, but those are big guys. The NBA,
No.
I don't think they care about the big guys.
Okay,
Look
man.
at me. Let me give you a question.
Cleveland is not it. I don't agree with you.
You think Ben Wallace and you think Ben Wallace was considered a big because he was on like 6'9", something.
They had Rasheed Wallace in the middle too.
Yeah,
How
Rasheed
about,
Wallace was
Dennis
Tayshaun
Rodman?
Prince was an orangutan. He was literally.
Yeah, but they
Dennis
wasn't
Rodman was
girthy.
big.
But they wasn't girthy though. They were small. They was thin. I mean, Rasheed Wallace was a thin type center, and we know Tayshaun Prince was thin.
All right.
Dennis
wouldn't
I mean, the
consider
biggest guy they
Rasheed
had was Ben
thin.
Wallace. But, I don't know. To me, I don't think the NBA in 2021, 2022, they don't have to have a really big guy to be successful, in my opinion.
Until
I
the
don't think so.
playoffs.
But
I think Draymond Green messed all that
said-
up. And Draymond Green got us all thinking that you don't necessarily have to be 6'11" to be considered a
man,
big
he's a 6'7", 6'8", maybe.
7, yeah, something like barely
Yeah.
that.
I mean, shoot, look at LeBron. He playing
They
center. They
had
won
two
4
of the
straight.
best shooters that can shoot from the logo. They stretching the floor. They don't count. That's
Hey.
one team.
The Dallas Mavericks wasn't big.
Yes, they
Me?
was. Dude, Jason Kidd was their
They
point
had
guard.
Tyson Chandler and Dirk.
Come on, man.
But see, when y'all saying big, I'm thinking girth wise. I'm thinking about weight. Yeah, I'm not just thinking about just height alone. We know everybody's in the NBA big or tall in the NBA. We understand that. But I'm thinking about girth wise.
I'm telling you that
Ben Wallace is
Brooklyn
big.
don't
If we
have
talking about
pieces, bro.
size, then
Brooklyn not it. man.
Look here, let me give you another small team. Was Miami. Miami was I would consider a smaller team. You had your two guard was
Who did they have on
6'4".
that team? They had Shaq.
You had,
They had
no. I'm talking about the LeBron Miami. The
That team
LeBron
was an
Miami.
orangutan team. What you talking about? They had Chris Bosh, LeBron
Okay.
James,
And that's it.
Birdman.
Dwayne Wade is a big guard.
Udonis Haslem was getting some
Birdman.
time at that point too.
Udonis Haslem was just on the team to say he was on the team. He was a cigar guy. Y'all know it,
Wayne
man.
Battier, Mike Miller. They're both.
Bro, that
Those
team
are
is big,
small.
bro.
They
I'm
both
talking-
6'7", 6'8".
Look at this. Look at your starting lineup. You naming a bunch of non-starters.
Bro,
Chalmers.
no, because
Chalmers was
listen,
small.
No. Hold on.
Dwayne Wade was
Y'all don't
considered
understand
small
about
as a
championship
two guard.
What y'all don't understand about championship teams is that role players they the X factor in whether or not you're gonna win a championship, bro.
That's true. I
It's the
believe that.
role play- you cannot discard them or discount them as a part of this conversation.
And we're not doing, but you can't look her. You can't count Udonis Haslem as a role player because the guy never got in.
Yes, he did. He don't get in now.
Joel Anthony.
No, look,
He don't get in
hardly.
now.
He hard. I didn't know he was still on the team with that Miami team until they showed him at the end of the games slapping hands with other
Hey,
teammates.
has him out there getting a check. I don't know what you
Hey,
talking.
I don't blame him. I
He
don't
might
blame him.
still be on the team.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that at all. But man, I wouldn't consider that a big team. But that's just my opinion. But that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are we talking about height wise or girth? That's what I'm going about. But I
I'm
digress.
talking about height.
I feel like it's just about rim protection, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's rim protection, man.
But you do got to think about the post too.
It's a defensive presence, man. Like, what are you known for?
I
What is your
wanna-
presence on the court?
I want to kind of switch it off of this real quick. But lastly, they play the Spurs today, and Kyrie is back. Do they win this game?
It's the Spurs, man. They gonna win the game.
Hey, but you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, because
They
you would
would.
think that the fact that they have like Kevin Durant and James Harden, they should be beating a lot of teams.
I talked to there was a
I
scout
don't-
that was
man, I
sitting
don't see
behind
that.
me at the Pistons Spurs game probably like a week ago. He literally told me that the Spurs is kind of trying to lose. So
Hey, that's not the first time. It wouldn't be the first time doing that. We've seen them do it before. So that's how they got Tim Duncan.
So
This got to be Greg Popovich the last couple of years too. I don't know what's going on there, or if he's trying to. I feel like the female assistant's about to get a role, I believe, in the WNBA, right? So that whole
went to the Aces, Vegas Aces.
okay, and so I don't really know what kind of plan they got. Could have sworn he was like on his way to retire. So to hear that they're nearly in a rebuild. Who knows what's going to become of the San Antonio Spurs.
Greg Popovich must got a side chick he trying to pay for. Real talk, bro. You gotta have a side chick or a baby out there somewhere that he trying to pay for. Ain't nobody gonna endure through that.
Yeah. I kind of want to brush over this real quick. The Lakers on a 3-game winning streak. Lakers are on a 3-game winning streak.
Lakers is 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 of their last 6 games or something like that.
Yeah. So
They six in the West right now.
Yeah. Like, do you guys see anything? Is this major for them? Is it going to make a difference, or they still not making it this year?
No, they're gonna be in the playoffs without a
so?
doubt. Absolutely, they will make the playoffs without a doubt. I don't think that they're gonna come close.
Oh
to
yeah, because they're number 6
Yeah.
right there.
I could see them losing the first round in the playoffs.
They're
that's how I
4-0,
could
by
see
the
it.
way, in the last 4 games.
Oh, it's 4-0. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Let me change that then. Okay.
Poor
Well,
Dame. Somebody let Dame out of Portland, man, please.
man, I don't think they want to let him go, man. I mean, he the reason why people show up, I guess, right?
Dame don't want to go.
I'm actually looking forward to that
Dame
game
is over
tonight.
there trying to get the big checks. Dame ain't trying to leave Portland. Don't be fooled. Dame is getting the maximum amount of money. Dame is about his bag. Dame don't care nothing about winning. I don't care what y'all say. Dame is
saying-
trying to get
When
checked.
when he re-upped with that team, I knew it. Dame, that let me know right there, like you said, Anton. It let me know right there. He don't want to leave. He don't want to leave. He's about that bread. I don't blame him. But at the end of the day, man, I want that
I don't
ring,
blame him
man.
either. I would do the same thing.
There's no way
I
we
want
can get
that
him to
ring.
Philly.
Nope.
Ain't no way.
Man.
I ain't heard nothing about
Well,
Ben Simmons. What's going on with him?
Who wants Ben Simmons though, man?
I ain't saying for Ben, maybe somebody else. I would
That's
say
the
Joel.
only player you have that anybody will want.
Everybody should want Ben Simmons. It's just at what cost?
And what you gonna get mentally.
Yeah, you never know, man. I'm not even sure if he's staying in shape.
Nah, Ben Simmons is all right. He'd be. I mean,
you
Ben
think
Simmons,
they got hard to approach?
Ben
He
Simmons
don't
is-
shoot. All you
Yeah,
gotta do is run and dunk.
Let me ask you a question. Would y'all trade?
no matter what, he can go get that Fashion Over check.
Would y'all trade Julius Randle for Ben Simmons?
No,
I
No.
think, yeah, nah.
no.
It's all about that
Look at
heart.
Sway. Look at Sway.
You see
thinking about it.
you see what Randall did, Jay. You know, come on, man, don't do that. Don't do it.
Yeah, get him out of here, man. I mean,
It don't
he's-
make
he-
sense to bring in another point guard and lose a big.
I think that we don't have a point guard though. I mean, we got Quickly and that's it. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
They got like 3 on your roster.
Derek
Harden.
Williams is
Hey,
true.
I told
Yeah,
y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop counting Kimba.
Rose, Kimba, and Quickly.
They all broken except
They
I get it,
all-
but they on your
you
roster.
can't
I'm saying
count
you gotta get
Kimba.
rid of them first before you can think about getting rid of Randall. Try to bring in another point guard.
Hey, trade Kimba for a water boy.
Julius Randle, he on the outs with the Knicks fans right now, right? Weren't they booing him? And he told them, shut the front door the other day. Yeah,
Man,
so
Knicks fans is the worst ever, bro. Knicks fans got to be the worst fans in sports all the way across.
Bill you
Damn,
up.
Jay. Damn,
Yeah.
Jay.
I mean, I'm not like that, of course, but
They
we'll build
bipolar.
you up and we'll shoot you off the pedestal we put you
Well,
on.
they're actually putting it on Julius Randle to mend the relationship with the fans. I don't know how that works, and he been playing, I'm not a huge fan of Julius Randle. I think he kind of wild out there, but for them to be like, oh, it's his fault. He should have been, took the high road and, just kind of accept it. It seems a little weird to me. He's been playing like crazy. He's one of their most improved players, probably in the league. Outside of, who's the draw on the Knicks? I feel like Julius Randle is kind of the guy you're going to see right now, outside of,
RJ Barrett.
Rose or something like that, RJ Barrett. You know what I mean?
No, Alec Burks
Evan
is taller
Fournier,
than
bro.
RJ Barrett.
Even Obi Toppin, some people are probably waiting on him to get out there on the court.
I
So
watched him come to the
Randle
Palace
is
the
their
other week
biggest
too.
draw.
I like this. I got a close look at Obi Toppin. I was sitting half court, row one. I said, let me see what they talking about from last week, because they was telling me trade Obi Toppin for
We said not to do that.
Yeah.
no. Some of y'all was
For Fox,
advocating
for
for it.
Darren Fox.
No.
Let me go get the tape. I said, let me look at this. Let me see how crazy my panel is. Yep, they crazy out they mind. I agree.
Hey, I watched the two of that game when where JR Bird hit that last second shot. I'm like, what the hell is so special about overtopping? But I'm watching Randall do what Randall does, and then go give the thumbs down. Look here, I'm not mending nothing. I don't owe the fans anything. It's not on me for me to get back right with the fans. If you don't like it, y'all can kiss my ass and move on. I'm out here to get this money, score these points, and do what I got to do to help my team win. I don't care about you fans if you like what I'm doing or if you don't like what I'm doing. What the hell with that? I'm doing what I need to do.
Yep. I want to switch it up again real quick. The Warriors are on a 2-game losing streak. They're on a 2-game losing streak. And guess what? Klay Thompson is coming back today against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you guys really know why they're on a 2-game losing streak? Is it just that they've been winning so much they got to lose every now and then? And is Klay Thompson going to really make a huge difference? Do you see him making an immediate impact? You guys know if he's starting or not? Or was he coming off the bench? I would imagine coming off the
He's been
bench.
playing 5
probably
on 5
gonna
for
come
the last
to this.
2.5 months. He's been already ready.
JR, it might be our fault, man. Steph done watched the JR Lapeef Sports Show last week. We exposed his girl and Steph's extracurricular activities, and now his mind's gone. Man, it might be on us,
man.
JR.
She did something else. I heard her name. I seen her name somewhere. She did
Man,
something else.
look, JR, you might have to take that. You might have to take that one on the chin, dog. It was your fault. You got the party started. And Steph been playing bad ever since. I don't know, man, but I hope that's not the case because of this news came out. Because I'm sure there's always rumors always gonna come out about everything and everybody. But you have to have a certain mindset, man, to zone it out. He's been in the league way too long. He knows what he has to do. I just think, man, he was pressing so hard, trying to get that record. Now he's trying to put that record to the point where nobody else can ever get it. And he's pressing, man. I mean, other than that, I don't know what it is. I hope it's not the news. I hope it's not because his girl was out there getting some straight.
I'm trying to figure out the news. If something else came out.
Well, other than his girl getting some string dingling, I don't know.
It's just, bro, realistically, the league don't even really get going until after All-Star break. 2 games ain't nothing. They'll be fine.
He's
I agree. They still
second.
second in the West. I think they're allowed to lose 2 games. You know what I mean? If it gets to 5 games or something like that, then 4 or 5 games, then it might be something to read in the tea leaves there. But 2 games, I think, is just they're allowed to do that. Steph hasn't put up the numbers that he normally has either. I mean, I think them couple games he only scored like 8-9 points, and then the second game was like 15 points or something like that. So that's probably a big reason why outside of his just output isn't there. Plus, today I don't think that Klay's starting. Plus, they probably don't want to start him that way. They could sub him in and he can have a big ovation. So they'll probably do it that way. And if Klay comes out and has a great game and the Warriors have a good game, them 2 games, everybody's going to forget about. The story's going to be, Klay coming back. Is this going to be the championship that everybody's got to worry about? All these things. And so I think that we'll all forget about them 2 games real quick. So I really think that a lot is probably riding on today, just in terms of how the next month is going to go. So we'll see. We'll see exactly how Clay is looking. We'll see how Steph and Clay are looking together. I know they've been playing 5-on-5, so I'm sure they all pretty confident. So we'll. I'm excited personally. I'm a huge Klay Thompson fan, so I'm excited to see him get out there and put it all together again.
He's starting. Just looked it up. He's starting. The only thing I'm concerned about is, and this is regardless if it's the Warriors or the Rockets, all the way down at the bottom is team chemistry. You know how guys are. He's somebody, whoever spot he taking, been grinding it out for 2 months, been doing really well. I mean, who spot he taking? Pools? You know what I mean? Like, so this is where Steve Kerr has to earn his money. This is where he has to have conversations with people and say, look, we're bringing him back into the starter lineup, and these are my reasons, and I need you to accept those reasons. And if that person on the other end of that conversation can't accept those reasons, you might have some chemistry issues. But this is a veteran group, and I could see anybody who would have issues saying, hey, I'm going to keep those internal because I don't want to be the one out of line here. So I think that's something to watch. But as far as, man, every team loses 2 games in a row. You know what I mean? Unless you're the 72-10 Bulls, you're going to have a losing streak. You know, it is what it is. There was nobody really hurt. There was no big change in philosophy on how they operate. It's whatever. 2 games is whatever.
I see it this, man. Hopefully, if Steve Kerr is a good coach, as we all think and know, he's been having a conversation all season, letting the guy know, whoever's coming in or whoever was currently playing for Clay, you know, that he's going to come back. And when he comes back, you know, if he feels like he's able to start, he's going to start. So hopefully those conversations was had. I can't see Steve Kerr as a Hall of Fame coach that he is, him not having those conversations with the individual. Because other than that, I don't see no really chemistry problems. Other than maybe the guy he's you know coming in for is being a little butthurt, but hey, get over yourself, dog. Yeah, you can ride with the ship, or we could ship you on down to the G League. You could be that man down in the G League and accept them little bus rides to Iowa somewhere in the G League. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but hey, you got to accept what it is. Clay's come back, he's gonna get his spot back, and that man earned it. He's been there way too long. You know, he put the work in. He earned everything he gets. So when he come back, he will get that spot. Accept it, move on.
Yeah, 2-game losing streak, man. And for a team like that could be bad clams, yo, at team dinner the night before. You know what I mean? Everybody out there with the bubblies, yo. If they lose 6, then I get nervous. Like, hold on, fam. Somebody trying to sabotage something, yo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it's have to worry about too much, man. I mean, it happens. You can't win every game, and I think when they're on that winning streak, like I'm hoping the Bulls don't lose 2 games in a row, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure that
Steph only had 14 against the Mavericks, and he didn't play against the Pelicans. So
okay. Oh well, there you go. There you have it. Gonna switch it up from basketball. We're gonna transition over to some football. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button. Appreciate it. I've seen a couple of super chats, I think. Thank you, Eugene Steele. There might have been another one out there. Thank you. Shout out to the sponsor, Teach Hanley. Make sure you guys click the link that's in the description and get you guys a free gift. And we're going to talk about the Chiefs. Talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs survived a scare. They beat the Broncos to keep the quest for the top seed in the AFC alive. So it looked like it was a close game. The Chiefs edged out a tight one. 28-24 win over the Denver Broncos on Saturday afternoon to close out the regular season, marking their 13th straight win over the Broncos. Let's talk about Kansas, man. I mean, it was looking kind of scary in the beginning. We were just having doubts. We thought that Mahomes got exposed as far as what to do to him. Fast forward to now. You think you guys predicted this? Are you guys surprised? Or you kind of figured out he would turn it around at some point?
I felt like he was playing injured. That's how I felt, man. I felt like he was just playing through some injuries that they were downplaying and trying to make it seem like it wasn't that serious, because he just didn't look like his normal mobility was where you're used to seeing it. Pass accuracy was off. So I felt it was an injury that they were covering up.
All right.
I don't know, man. I know he was I think he has some things going on at home, man, that he had to get some things worked out, in my opinion. Because his brother's a loose cannon. I don't know if y'all know anything about his
And his
brother.
girl. And his girl.
Or his fiance. It's his fiance now. So
I've been hearing about her. Y'all got to fill me in after
yeah.
you finish your point.
I'm more worried about the brother than the fiance. I think he's that type of individual. He can get the fiance in line, just have a
You got to
couple
worry about the
good
girl.
conversations.
Always
You
got to
think
worry
so?
about the person they sleep with. It's the person you lay down with that's going to be the most impactful in your life, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you right. But I think he's gonna have to get his brother in order because his brother's been a loose cannon for a long time. So, him sending out these tweets, even though fans are gonna be fans, they're gonna say stuff.
But the brother hang out with the chick. They best friends.
But that's the reason I need him to get his brother first, because the brother act like he's a girl. I didn't want to go there. And Tom, I'm just saying, he act like one of those type guys. You understand?
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Without saying the words.
Family men era, that's kind of coming to an end. We the last of a dying breed. So
you never lied about that, big brother. You never lied.
But
TikTok I think he needs to get that at home in order. I think that's probably been boggling his mind more than anything.
Can you guys elaborate on what she's been doing?
Just going. She's part of the little clique that's talking back and forth with fans and just out there just doing that. And just way too loose.
The brother actually has he had the same build, he had the same talent. Let's just say, for example, to be possibly another athlete in the family. He decided instead he wanted to be a TikTok star. So he does disrespectful stuff, like he does TikToks on retired numbers on different fields and messes up with the fans, and he throw water on them and all of this other type of stuff. And he always with the girl, and they be doing TikToks, and he be sitting in the background. Patrick Mahomes be sitting in the background. He just be chilling, and the brother and stuff. It's like they always drawing attention negatively to themselves. And the girl always is a part of it too. And so, the fiance, right? And so the idea of it is just that it's almost like they trying to ruin his career or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They taking a star stat, or they taking advantage of his star status, but they always caught up in a controversy. They always getting into something. They always causing a problem. You know what I'm saying? His fans hate him all the way across the board. And it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary drama in his life that he don't necessarily need, because he need to be focused on securing the bag. And so while he doing TikTok stuff, it's just a lot of distractions that's going on. And so a lot of stuff that's happening, people are attributing it to his family. That's the synopsis of it.
Okay.
And to me, fortunately, it's not like it's anything illegal, but it's just the optics of it, man. You can't do that. Your brother's trying to, man, really, he's carrying the family. Truth be told, and he's carrying of course, the fiance, and then the brother's a damn hanger on. He's carrying you too, for real. Because without if he was name was James Jones, whoever, nobody knew Patrick Mahomes, then your TikTok wouldn't be shit. So now you living off the backside of your brother, but yet you doing stuff to embarrass your brother.
Bro, this is crazy. What kind of Twilight Zone are we living in to where we talking about a dude is becoming a TikTok star? This is fucking crazy.
He posted a TikTok recently with Mahomes on his hoodie, but it was missing the E at the end.
Oh, wow.
So everybody was making fun of him for that. He's a bad marketer too.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, man.
I laugh at stuff like that. But it's the world we live in now, man. Like, I swear to God, I got an 11-year-old son. And every time I'm with my son, he's watching YouTube, and there's some brother sitting in a chair yelling at the top of his lung, playing video games. Some dude named Corey Kenshin. I'm like, what are you watching? Why is this dude yelling at you the whole time? Man, I Googled this dude. He told me he was worth $15 million, man. It's the world we live in now, man.
Damn.
I think it's such a hard time.
I actually think I heard that same thing in mine.
But I don't have no problem with people becoming stars, but I have a problem with people that leapfrog off of their brother and stuff.
Yeah, that's whack.
You know what I'm saying? In order to do it, I don't know, man. It's just like I never aspired to be a YouTube star. You know what I'm saying? was doing dope stuff, and I think it just happened for a lot of people. But this dude, he is becoming a distraction. And listen, the one thing that I always say is you don't fumble the bag. Listen, if Patrick Mahomes is the key, then protect Patrick Mahomes at all costs. Like, why is you becoming such a distraction?
Especially, he does a lot of his stuff in Kansas City. So, it'd be different if he moved and he lived in Miami doing all this kind of stuff. But, your brother got a home game and you at a local bar getting into it with the bar owners because you got an entourage of 100 people and you can't understand why they can't seat your 100 friends. Meanwhile, your brother is on TV right now playing a game. So, I agree. I mean, I didn't really follow the story like that. I knew that he was doing too much and I saw him throwing water on fans. And I know that his fiance and mother of his children, Pat Mahomes, she's no stranger to the internet either and having stuff to say on Twitter and all of that stuff. So it can't be a good situation for him. Hopefully that's not impacting him on the field, but I feel like it's just another thing that he's got to worry about. And so, I think that he is fighting an injury. I think that in pertaining to the game yesterday, Tyreek Hill was limited because he hurt himself in pregame. So they really had to rely on, McCole Hardman and whatnot to really get the game going. So I think a lot of things is coming to a head, but, they can still lock up the second seed if things play out the way they're supposed to today. So they're still poised to, be an amazing playoff contender. The Chiefs just have too much talent to necessarily be in some kind of worry stage necessarily. But for Pat Mahomes specifically, I definitely think that he's got to shore up himself at home. He's got I don't know how you reel your brother in at this point. It's been almost 2 years now since they won the Super Bowl, where his brother and wife have been, or soon to be wife, have been in the news for all the wrong reasons. So I don't know how you curtail that at this point. They've solidified themselves in their own right. So hopefully he just has to play through it. A lot of athletes who find their families in the news for the wrong reasons. They got to play through it. Some people will argue that's why they get paid millions of dollars. It's not really because of what they go through on the field, but it's how they manage everything else. So, I guess we'll see. Time will tell on how Pat and the Chiefs at large handle it.
I think
He might
Patrick
have to take the
Mahomes.
Aaron Rodgers approach, man, and cut the family off. That's what Aaron Rodgers did. Maybe you have to cut the family off, man. I hate to hear that, have to do that, but you got to do what you have to do. You're not going to mess up my money.
I don't think his family was the reason that they were losing, though. I think the reason they were losing is the fact that the Bucks and the Patriots exposed their offense. You know what I mean? They used to be able to throw whenever they want to. The options was there, and then you saw Pat. You was like, he's kind of like a shell of himself, or he's a little bit hurt. No, his options, his reads weren't there. The original reads that he gets all the time, they're not there no more. So now he's trying to figure out on the fly or new play calls to try to make new reads, and he's come to realize he has to play more solid. He can't listen to Andy Reid and throw it 40 yards down the 40, 50, 60, however many yards down the field and expect to put up 40 points a game. Now he has to hope that he can get up to 30 or 28. Like, they barely got to 28. They got it off a fumble. You know what I mean? So I think they're just coming to the realization that they can't play how they used to, and they have to play more solid because the Bucks and the Patriots expose that offense.
Yeah, but man, I don't know if you ever been in a relationship where things are not going right at home. It can affect your work life. It happens. I've been in
I'm
a
sure it
relationship
can,
before where, but that's a big
but that's a
factor,
whole
brother. I
team. That's a
promise you.
52 players on that team. You know what I
Yeah, but
mean?
if the
I feel like it has
lead
more to do
dog
with
is
injuries and then your offense being, basically everybody was targeting y'all offense, figuring out how to decipher this. And once they figured it out, everybody started doing it.
yeah,
You know what
but
I
if
mean?
your lead dog is not playing right and his mind is just not focused on what it is, man, that could affect your whole game and the whole team. He's the leader of the team. And if the leader of the team is mentally just not right, it can affect everything. I
I
mean,
agree
people
with
say,
you.
no, I leave home at home. It's hard. If you got issues at home and it's to the point where it's getting to the public, it's going to affect you, your mental, your game, everything about it. The way you practice, the way you walk, the way you move, the way you talk, it's going to affect you. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, he might have to cut him off.
What she look like? I've never seen his wife or his brother.
I mean, she's a nice looking white woman. I mean,
Okay, enough said.
Oh, you thought she was going to be a sister? Oh, no. Oh,
I was
no.
like, yeah, I know this dude ain't night.
Is that what you, Jay? Is that what you thought she gonna be a sister? Nah, you got him. You got him on titty pig. I mean,
I
it's
was like,
cool. And I ain't gonna knock it. I mean, you love what you love, but yeah, she's a very nice looking white woman. I mean, it is what it is.
I think the brother has gotten so far that I don't think he can control himself. Truly, I just thought about it. Like, I don't think anyone can tell him what to do. Like, if someone was to tell him that you have to sit down right here for the whole game, you cannot leave this box room, and don't touch no fans, don't talk to no fans, do nothing. I feel like he would literally he would be sitting there struggling. Like, he wants to go interact or mess up something, go dance on the field, like he couldn't. Like, his brain just tell him, I gotta go do it. I gotta go dance. I gotta go dance. Like, no one could tell him. So you're right. He might have to just get kicked all the way out the stadium, bro. You can't even come here no more. If this temptation of all these people and all this clout, you know what I mean, is making you want to do crazy things, and you got to stay at home.
You might hop in a hot air balloon, and fly across the stadium while the game going.
Hey, look, the good book said if he's not growing any fruit, if that vine is not growing any fruit, cut it off. Then that's what needs to happen.
We are definitely getting
bro.
to the
Sorry, bro.
Like Antonio Brown situation in the news that has been brought out about that. But before we do, lastly, I know they played the Broncos. So the Denver Broncos head coach, he was fired. He got fired. That was the news that broke this morning. The Denver Broncos hired Vic. How you say his name? Fangio.
Fangio.
Went against what the NFL was looking for at the time. The league was into young, offensive-minded head coaches. Fangio was a defensive coach about to turn 61 years old. So he's fired. You guys think Matt Nagy is next?
Oh yeah.
Ain't
tomorrow Black Monday, something like that, where like as soon as the season's over, about 6-7 coaches get fired. So they all, hopefully some of these teams at least win, go out on a winning note. Vic Fangio was fired they almost didn't let him ride home on the bus. So I think that he was doomed from the beginning. He kind of made his bones as a coordinator in the NFL. And then before he got the head coaching job, he was on the Bears. And this was back when the Bears was leading the league in turnovers and stuff like that. And they had a more healthy team. So Vic Fangio kind of rolled that popularity into finally getting a head coach. Plus, he's been in the league so long that I feel like the league was just like, he's kind of earned an opportunity to be a head coach. But I think it was doomed from the start. He's got a real old school, style to his coaching. And, I just don't think that the new age of athlete, these 7-on-7 athletes are really going to be going for his brand of coaching, very old school, blood on the saddle type coaching. And I just don't see it happening. Some of the unwritten rules of football that he believes in, I don't think that they're really translating well to this new generation of football player. And the fact that some of the games that they lost, they could have won. I mean, they really could have won last night. So, I think that it's kind of a perfect example on why the organization will say, well, our team is kind of right there. We just need a better coach to get us there. And Vic Fangio just was not going to be that guy. So I do think that there's going to be a couple of other coaches that are going to see the same fate. Matt Nagy got to be first on that list. But at the same time, Matt Nagy was actually billed as one of these, offensive guru, quarterback whisperer type guys, whereas Vic Fangio was more billed as a hard-nosed defensive coach. He's going to bring along discipline and bring along structure into the organization. Because at the time, Denver was kind of a fledgling organization in itself. They were going through quarterbacks every season almost. They were losing some of their key guys, to trades and to whatever it is. So they really didn't have anything going for him. So I feel like he was just really a stopgap to the next guy, which is why I feel like he wasn't made to last there at all. He's really a coordinator. He's a guy who should not have the last say. He's just kind of in charge of this group of people over here, and that's it. And Matt Nagy is going to be the same way. He should really just be like maybe a quarterback coach or maybe an offensive coordinator. He may not even get that. He
can't do that.
He may have to sit down for a season, really, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like Vic Fangio will get a job before Matt Nagy does.
Hey, I look at it like this, man. Bring back Vic Fangio as our linebackers coach. Bring in Lovie Smith as our defensive coordinator, and go get Jim Harbaugh as our head coach. That's what I want. That's what I like to see if the Birds do. We ain't got to do it on Monday. Shit. Our game plays at 1 o'clock today, 4:35, fire his ass. Fire his ass at 4:35 when the game is over, and he's back in Chicago. Fire his ass on point, and then let's make this thing happen. I'm done with that, Nagy. I'll be glad when Black Monday comes. If we wait till Monday, whatever, fire his ass and have Jim Harbaugh on speed dial and get him on in here. But Vic Fangio, man, I like him. I think he's a hell of a
I
defensive
agree.
guy. But I don't see why Denver even hired him. That made no sense at all. Especially when you got John Elway, your general manager, and you go out and get a defensive minded coach. Man, that made no sense
Well,
at
Vic
all.
Fangio,
No.
he could probably go have a conversation with John Elway, and then they'll be on the same page because John Elway is cut from that cloth that will agree to some of the coaching methods that Vic Fangio is probably talking about. They both probably underestimated the fact that kids today, they don't really respond to that. You gotta understand the mentality, and I don't think that hard-nosed football coaching, just getting cussed out up and down the field is really something that the players are going to respond to. I remember, I think it was when they played the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson was trying to keep the 100-yard streak going or something like that. And at the end of the game, Vic Fangio didn't want none of his players to shake hands. He wanted everybody to come off the field. And he just probably expected the players to take that more personally than what they did. So it was really just an illustration of just the gap between, the methods of how the game is played. So, that's why he should really be a coordinator. He should be like a voice in the locker room, but not necessarily the guy making the decisions.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's where the league is going to trend now. I mean, look at the Bears. You can be mad at the Bears all you want for this last hire, but they've actually in the last couple of hires have done exactly what the league has been doing. They didn't do anything except when they went to get the goofy from the CFL. Like, I don't know who idea it was to go get a head coach from the CFL, but I guess when you own $1 million team, you can get away with doing goofy stuff. But everybody is kind of like said maybe burned out on this coordinator thing because that's what the Bears have done last two, 3 times. It has to be okay. We're going to get either the hot young defensive coordinator, the hot young offensive coordinator, and it's not worked out either way for the Bears or whatever. So I think teams are going to have to start getting creative and start redefining the parameters of what we think a good head coach is. The last time the Bears won a Super Bowl, it was because of Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka was a special teams coordinator. He had neither offensive expertise or defensive expertise. He was a CEO. He was a manager. He knew who to hire. He knew how to manage a roster. That's the type of guy you need to hire these days in the NFL because the league is so fickle. 2 years, it'd be hot defenses. 1 year, it'd be hot offensive. You wind up over hiring guys who are not prepared to step into that role. Every hot young coordinator, that might just be their ceiling. They are a coordinator. I think that's what happened with Nagy. Number one, he got associated with Pat Mahomes. Number two, he was just the young hot coordinator. There was nothing else on that resume to say, okay, leader, CEO, manager of personal of responsibilities and things like that. None of that was on his resume. It was all I worked with Pat Mahomes, and that was enough to get him hired or whatever. You have to start hiring people when you have to take the big picture into account. How do they manage the Antonio Browns of the world? How do they interact with ownership? How do they interact with the fans? How do they hire people? How do they determine? These are the things that people have to start asking when they hire head coaches because this coordinating thing is trash. It's dead, man.
I mean, you got to think outside of the box too, man, because these young millionaires, like, they don't have the same respect of the older guys, like the Shannon Sharp eras. Like, even though those were like the flashy, dudes of the league, they still had that respect for the Hall of Fame coaches. You know what I mean? But these young millionaires, it ain't nothing you could tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing you could say to me, bro. I'm making more money than you, yo. What we got to talk about? That's how they walk around. So you kind of got to shake up those front offices with different stuff. You see it in basketball. You see where, of course, Knicks, y'all familiar with Steve Stout?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Like,
indeed.
he has a position there because they're trying to shake it up. Like, we need more people to believe in the culture that we're trying to build. So you kind of have to shake it up. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to them trying something different, and sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's going to look really bad on live TV. Like, what are they doing out here? But You got to try, man, because these young dudes, they're different, you know.
Plus, I think too much is made out of this and this coach is from the Andy Reid tree, or this guy is from the the Bill Belichick tree. Because I think that doesn't really mean anything. We made that mistake with the Andy Reid tree with getting Matt Nagy in the first place, and now I feel like everybody is just all over Eric Bieniemy for the same reason. And as soon as he get a head coaching job, he gonna be struggling. And I think as off the strength of Andy Reid. So I think that when they go to get some of these coaches, like Avon said, they got to be a little more creative than just saying, well, he's off this and this staff, so we just know he's going to be good. Just like Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has been one of those guys who everybody says, oh, man, if he's going to be a head coach, he'll be great because look what he did under Bill Belichick. Well, that's because you got Bill Belichick making the decisions. So, you could draw up the play and maybe draw up the game plan, and then Bill Belichick knows how to lead the whole ship and make sure everything's going well versus – a Matt Nagy who really all he knows how to do is draw up a really creative play, but he doesn't have the game management. He doesn't have the offensive play call and cadence experience to find it to be a successful process. So I think that they have to definitely look beyond just the tree they came from or the organization they came from and really start to look at, how do they manage personalities? How do they manage gameplay? And it not be so much about their playbook.
And Bill is a defensive-minded coach first. So he kind of leaves that up. He left that up to Tom and Josh to figure out and then pray for his defense and coach, game management and everything else. So that was my point, too. I was going to say, people could say Josh McDaniels is this guru offensive guy, but I wouldn't hire him as my coach. You know what I mean? I wouldn't hire him as my coach. He doesn't have the experience, nor do I think he has the will that people would actually respect him enough to follow his lead.
Well, if you're Jacksonville, you might be able to be talked into hiring.
But you're not going to be good. It's not going to make any difference. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think he has that vibrato where people, like you said, the young guys aren't going to respect him. You know what I mean? They're going to respect.
Who's a perfect example of this, man? What's the guy down in who's the head coach of Ole Miss right now? Used to be the coach at USC. He was offensive coordinator at Alabama. His name is just the blonde hair guy.
So you talking about
but y'all know what I'm talking
Clyde.
about.
What's his name?
Every time I forgot.
He was
every
a Tennessee.
time he gets fired. Yeah. Oh God.
You talking about Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin.
Yes, Lane Kiffin.
I didn't realize he was the coach at Ole Miss. I thought he was still in Florida.
Lane Kiffin is a perfect example of this, man, where sometimes your ceiling and your best place to be might not be the top place to be. Because every time he get fired, someone hires him as an offensive coordinator. He put up video game numbers, and some other college gets suckered into hiring him, and then he goes 8-5 or 7-6 for 4 years, and he gets fired, and somebody else gets suckered into this, man. If you can't succeed at USC and you can't succeed at Tennessee, blue blood programs where you have access to every resource you could possibly. The person doing the hiring has to dial in and say he clearly can't do this. You know what I'm saying? He clearly can't do it, but they're gonna keep falling for it every time because this is who we're supposed to hire. You're supposed to hire the offensive coordinator. You're supposed to hire the offensive genius or the defensive genius. They get suckered into man. Lovie Smith done made a career of this. Lovie Smith done made a career of being a defensive genius and I won't say horrible, but a mediocre to average head coach. And this happens to a lot of guys, man. But it seems to happen to a lot of other people, a lot more than some other people for obvious reasons. But we're not going to say that here. But, when the people, this is who we always mad at in Chicago, right? Who we always mad at in Chicago. We're not mad at the coach. We're not mad at the GM. We're mad at the McCaskies. It's the people doing the hiring, but you can't fire billionaires. So you gotta just have to make your peace with it on some level. Like I'm mad, like airtime, like up in Detroit, y'all hired a coach who literally got on the radio and told people we was gonna bite people on the kneecaps. Bro, what year do you live in? They not wearing helmets no more, bro. We not doing that no more, man. Like
what?
The people who are hiring are the ones that buy into this BS. They the ones that, football coach, he should be mean and yell at people and have the respect of men or whatever. And if somebody, shows that by saying crazy ass stuff like that, then if you're not a football mind, that's what's gonna win you over every time. That's what we stuck with. That's what we stuck
Walking
with.
Dead.
I'm just confused as to why there's like no chain of, I'm not saying chain of command, but like there's no chain to being a coach. Like it's usually, I might pick a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator or this guy. Like in the NBA, I feel like there's a clear chain. It's like you've either been with the organization and worked your way up for like 10, 15, 20 years, and then hopefully you got the assistant coach job and then you got the coaching job, or you're a player and you have been around the organization. But like in the NFL, it feels like they just be picking and choosing. There's no clear chain. There's no, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if he's a young guy. It doesn't matter if he's an old guy. It doesn't matter if he's been fired for 10 years. It's like
same way it is in corporate America.
I just
I mean, it's about
weird,
who you know in the NFL, who you know, who can vouch for you. And the program you were just at is how I would imagine they've been doing up to this point. That's why I say they put too much emphasis on, the tree you came from. If you're a college guy who's been dominating,
that's the final point.
Yeah, but you get a guy who's from the Pete Carroll tree, even though Pete Carroll's probably nearly about to get fired in Seattle himself. That seems to weigh more, because then you can hit up Pete Carroll. Hey, what do you think of this guy? And Pete Carroll's, a respected individual in the league. So that dude's probably going to get some say-so over a guy who should have been picked years ago. How a guy like Mark Trestman gets hired over, Bruce Arians, you know what I mean, is ridiculous. And so, there's really no science to it. But hopefully, the NFL's getting better with that. The Bears are going to make some better decisions, or at least hire a guy who can tell them who to hire. So, but given their track record, I don't know how that's really going to go. So we'll see how all these coaches, the Jacksonville's looking for a coach. The Raiders are going to be looking for a coach. Minnesota, they're probably going to fire Mike Zimmer. Seattle, they're going to be getting rid of someone. Chicago, that's 5 teams. I'm sure there's a couple more. So, I guess we'll see how it all shakes out.
All right, if you guys are just tuning in to Lapeef Sports, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Memberships are open. And we're going to get into the meat of the conversation, where we're going to talk about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, you guys are familiar with this story, but I kind of want to hit this on a different angle. I know, Anton, you did a couple of videos about it. I guess one of the videos was when the news broke, and then the other video was you saying that you were wrong about him. You want to kind of give just a short glimpse into what happened?
I think that I was wrong about being wrong about him now, though. So I might have to do a third video. The fact that I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. But long story short, basically what's been playing out is that he had a meltdown on the sideline, and it was recorded and it was captured, where he eventually took his whole jersey off, threw it in the stands, did jumping jacks in the end zone while the game was still going on. His teammate was trying to calm him down and get him back get him back regular or whatever. And what wound up transpiring is that one of the coaches was like, yo, we need you to go in the game. And he refused to go in the game, right? The context afterwards, and here's the thing, though. So he wound up dropping his rap song same day. He wound up dropping his Fashion Nova ad same day. And then the context was that he said that he was he was hurt and he didn't want to go in because he was injured, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Coach was like, yo, what are you doing? Get in. Like, we need you in there. He was like, whatever the spat was on the sidelines. And of course, the coaches and stuff, or the organization, was quiet. Antonio Brown came back and was like, because just looking at the optics of the video, you like, this dude is a head case. Like, he just can't get right. He gonna do what he do. Antonio Brown came back and said, yo, I was injured. They shot me up with painkillers. And, I went and looked at the doctors. I'm about to have surgery on my foot, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, I have been texting back and forth. The organization then came back, which I didn't even do a video on this, and was like, no. This is a whole nother context. He said that he was good to go, and it's just a big blow up, and that the organization just don't want any more distractions, because in my personal opinion, I feel like I don't care what happens, you remain professional throughout the whole thing. You don't have a diva meltdown, especially as a man, doing jumping jacks in the end zone, and that's what a lot of stuff that people were saying was, okay, so if you're so injured, what the piss you doing jumping jacks in the end zone for? And then when you start to break down his conversation, because the organization was like, yo, all y'all got to do is check with the players. The players will tell you it ain't what he made it out to be. What the organization is saying is that he was mad because he wasn't getting thrown to, or he wasn't getting as many passes that he thought that he should have been getting. And his bonuses was on the line. He was supposed to get $333,000, I believe, for 8 more catches, and then another $333,000 for I think 58 yards, and then another $333,000 bonus for so many touchdowns or whatever, so on and so forth. His whole contract is incentive laden, and they said that he was actually having a meltdown because he was pissed because he wasn't getting as many targets as that he wanted to. But he spent it for the media, and so now I might have to do a whole nother video, which I'm trying to wait about being wrong about him, because I just think that he a head case and he just can't get right. But that's kind of the synopsis of what's happening in the whole situation.
I appreciate that. And I think his story is interesting. And I think there are some lessons to learn from it. So what we do here on Lapeef Sports, we like to try to tie this into everyday life and seeing if there's anything we can pull from this story and be able to tie it in. Ex-coach Dick Vermeil had something to say about this, and I am going to share a little bit of that real quick, just so you guys can get an understanding. And we're going to pull some from there, talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to tie it back in to how we see this on an everyday basis. Here we go. So he says Antonio Brown's NFL career is over. At least that's what legendary NFL coach Dick Vermeil thinks, telling TMZ Sports. He can't see another team giving him a shot after this wild, shirtless exit from the Buccaneers. I can't believe somebody would, Dick tells a man, demonstrate what he is by what he does, and it's answered everybody's evaluation questions when you saw him doing that stuff. He said, I never, in my 30-something years of coaching from high school, junior college, division, and the NFL, have never seen anything like that, he added. He also says that I think sometimes, even though you're trying to do the right thing, that you bring your own problems. Read that again. I think sometimes, even though you're trying to do the right thing, that you bring your own problems, Vermeil said. And this is what you guys seen in the thumbnail. And this is very important because we're going to break this down and discuss this. You create your own problems by bringing people that have been a problem, he continued. What makes you think that you're going to change them? I have to read that again. You create your own problems by bringing people that have been a problem, he continued. What makes you think that you're going to change them? Remember, he says he would have given AB a shot to begin with, saying, I try to stay away from players that had problems. Remember, we're going to tie this into real life. He said he would have never given him a shot because he had a history of having problems. He would have never been on that team. So let me stop this real quick. Gentlemen, let's talk about this. He had a rap sheet. He clearly was a nutcase before. The first question I want to start off by asking is, how does this apply to our lives today? Give me an example. Does the talent or the gift outweigh the problem? Do you manage the problem? Whether you take on the talent and say, hey, I'm going to manage this problem. You know, this happens all the time where we know people are a problem, but we are willing to give it a shot because I guess in our heads, the talent or the gift or whatever it is they bring into that table outweighs it. Do we just stop that at the front door? Let's talk about it.
I mean, I think experience would tell you that you're not able to fix that problem. You know, most most issues are an inside job, you know, and a lot of times because a person has a bunch of other qualities, you'll overlook the detrimental quality that's right in front of your face because you may feel like, you know, I could fix this, you know, a few years I have her correct, you know, and I mean, this is with homeboys too. It could apply to women or your friends, you know. You thinking that you can fix that. You're not qualified, man. You actually not qualified. So you get caught up in trying to fix it, and you look around and you're on the same level as them by the time you get done trying to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like if you look at this through maybe the eyes of Tom Brady as a friend, it definitely relates to real life, because I think we all got friends who we know are not going to be reliable if we put them in a certain position. You know, even when there's a need and we know that this person will fulfill that need at a high level, if we also know that this person can't be relied on to show up to places on time, maybe can't be relied on to follow the certain rules that are put in place by the organization, and you're kind of sticking your neck out for this person, A, because you know we need their talent, and B, this is, you know, a person that you care about. I think that is definitely tough to balance that, because if that doesn't work out, now you need to kind of cut ties with them completely. You know, not even maybe just from a professional standpoint, but also as a personal standpoint, because you put your personal reputation out on the line at, you know, towards a certain level for this person. So, and then in this particular case, Antonio Brown then comes out and says, well, Tom Brady really isn't my friend. He was only doing this because, you know, I'm a winner and they want to win and that they just need me for wins. And then Tom Brady comes out, or meanwhile, Tom Brady comes out and says, we need to support him. You know, he's a person I care about deeply. And sometimes it's a little bit beyond just football. So from Tom Brady's eyes, you know, this might be a complete betrayal of your trust, you know, a complete betrayal of maybe some private conversations that they've had, because Antonio Brown was living at Tom Brady's house for a long time. So, you know, we don't even know the kind of conversations and the kind of agreements and whatnot that they came to. So I think it's just a perfect example of, even when, and to Dick Vermeil's quote, even when you're trying to do what's right, which is put your friend who might be struggling in a position to succeed, in a position to repair their reputation, because you have such a strong reputation, you only end up, to Jay's point, you end up kind of finding yourself in the mud with them. You know what I mean? When you were trying to pull them out the mud, they actually ended up pulling you down with them. So it's definitely something that's tough. And in pro sports, when there's a whole lot of he say, she say, you know, it just makes for a huge mess. And then Antonio Brown has proven that he really can't be trusted anyway. So he's really not doing himself any favors by going on a podcast and saying all this stuff. You know, it's just, it really shows you how, even when you think you know someone and you've had an intimate conversation with them, at any point, they might fly off the handle when something don't go their way. And now suddenly he's trying to make everybody else to be the bad guy and himself be the victim. And it only, you know, sullies your own name. So.
Hey, man, this is crazy.
Because I'm starting to read some of these comments and I see the Victim Olympics is ramping out here. Go ahead. I'm going to just step back, because I'm going to just tell you, it's some BANs out here in these streets, bro. Y'all are.
I don't think that we should discount that Antonio Brown does need help. You know what I mean? We don't know
Antonio Brown. Don't
I'm just saying, you know,
let me tell you something, bro.
Both things can be true.
As a business owner, as an organization, as a person that deal with people on a regular basis, man, you ain't nobody bigger than the team.
Not at all.
I mean, real talk, bro. Like we off this whole victim. Well, what about Tom Brady did it? Well, bitch, you ain't Tom Brady. Like, don't nobody want to hear your excuses. Do what you got to do to get your bread and move on, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always fumble in the bag, and then they want to go back afterwards and say, oh, well, what about they do? Well, the spin on that story, what a spin is, your ass is on the sideline and you ain't getting no check. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Get out your fucking feelings and do what you're supposed to do in order to get to the bag. Don't nobody want to hear that junk. Just a couple of years ago, you was begging for a team to sign you, and now all of a sudden you the man and it's a spin on the story. Man, I'm so tired of these house dudes, these suckers, these overly emotional beta-ass males, simp punk. Man, don't let me say the wrong thing. God help me. But I'm so tired of that.
Let me pull you out the fire, baby. Let me pull you out the fire. I got you. Hey, I look at it like this, man. I like Antoine said, I have no sympathy for Antonio Brown. I have none. From the day he was in Central Michigan, when he played there, he fumbled the bag then. That's why he ended up being a 6th-round draft pick. There was a reason. He started off being a knucklehead then. So then he got to Pittsburgh. He was a knucklehead. He did knucklehead things. He felt like he should have been bigger than Hines Ward. No, dog, you need to wait your time. Your time will come because you're a good player, but you need to wait your time. But yet, he still wanted to be a knucklehead. Then when his time was here to come, what he do in the playoffs? He's live streaming on Facebook. Your coach is having an intimate speak, getting ready for the New England Patriots, who was defending Super Bowl champs, giving y'all motivation about getting ready for next week. And you recording this where everybody can hear the message? No, dog, that's not smart. I got no sympathy. So when they did let you go, because he got tired of dealing with you. He got tired of your antics. He got tired of all your BS. He was done. The Raiders picked you up. You had a short-lived there because you crying about the helmet. Come on, dog. These are NFL rules. These are not Antonio rules. These are not the Oakland Raiders rules. These are NFL rules. You got to abide by the rules or get up at this league. We don't need you. You a dime a dozen. We'll move on. We'll find another receiver to draft. And what they end up doing, letting him go because they got tired of the BS. So then what you end up doing, you going to New England. Then you come and have a phone call with one of the women who's already has charges against you, assaulting you, and you make a phone call
you
to
ain't
threaten
even
this
talk
woman?
about the fact that the dude had a fake jab card, wouldn't
Come
pay
on,
the
man.
staff that
I'm going through the timeline. I ain't got there yet. I'm getting there. I'm gonna get there. But the dude sit there and call this woman, and then he gets upset because they cut him. He talks bad about New England. He burns that bridge. Come on, man. What are we doing? So guess what? Tom Brady ended up moving on to Tampa Bay. Tom Brady said, hey, man, I had a lightweight little success when they 1.5 games with him. I like to have him again. The man got you the opportunity. You act civil last year. You did what you had to do. All of a sudden, you got right. CTE didn't kick in then. Your mind was right then. You know how to be responsible then. You did that for that half a season, and you did what you had to do to get that back. So then you signed in a performance in late college, but you signed that. Nobody made you sign it. You chose to sign it. Ain't nobody put a pistol to your head. You chose to sign it. You signed the contract. You did what you had to do. Come to next year, you know they had this COVID rules, and I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry. You had these rules for the 19, and you had to have certain requirements. If you choose not to get the jab, you have to do certain things. Dog, you end up going out here and getting a fake card. Then you turn around and get the extra jab, and you end up doing it, but you waited too late. What sense does that make, dog? You taking penitentiary chances. You losing the bag over some BS. You act like a child. I expect a 13-year-old to do some childish stuff like that. But you a grown-ass man doing silly stuff? Come on, man. Come on, fam. And
Let
then
me
this
tag in on this one, because you know what they're going to say next? I'm going to blow up all these people in the comments right now. The next thing they're going to say to is, well, it's CTE or he might have mental health. And I want people to kind of take this in, what I'm about to say to them right quick. I'm talking to you as a man that discovered in his late 30s, I got the Holy Trinity, baby. And it's a function of growing up in Chicago. I got PTSD. I got anxiety. And I got, what's the other one? PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I got all three, bro. I was diagnosed in my late 30s. You don't see me acting a damn fool out here on the corner every 5 minutes. This is something, like Hank said, this is something as a former coach, I'm not even going to tolerate this from 16, 17, 18-year-old children, let alone a grown-ass 30-year-old man. His ankle, he talking about my ankle hurt. It didn't hurt when you was doing jumping jacks in the end zone, you damn goofy. Number one. Number two, if you really had mental health issues, you work for one of the largest employers and wealthy employers in the United States. They got all types of therapists. They got all types of psychiatrists. They got all types of pills that you could ever want to make sure that you can take your ass to work and not embarrassing yourself. They got all that stuff. He made a consistent and defined effort from the time I saw that. You ever seen the picture of him at Central Michigan? He looked like a damn fool. He's one of these people that grows up in chaos, mental health or not, and has learned, because he's been rewarded his entire life because of his athletic ability, that as long as I can run fast and catch a ball, that my actions have no consequences. He's finally learning today. And in these last couple of weeks, that regardless of your mental health status, your background, and your upbringing, you as a grown-ass man are responsible for what you do, period. And that this whole, well, we got to have empathy for him. Now, we had empathy for him back in the day when he was 16, 17 years old going through this stuff. I'm quite sure some grown man along the way said, this ain't right. He made an active choice to not do the right things, and now he's paying for it. And what the hell is he going to do for a job after this? I'm quite sure he ain't got all that money left. He ain't got none of that money left.
I thought he just got signed by the Cowboys.
Way to grow up real quick.
My empathy left when he continued to do these foolish things. If this was a one-off, I could have empathy for the man. No problem at all. But this ain't a one-off. This is a constant thing. So I don't have no empathy for somebody who continues to screw up. I have no empathy for nobody that does that. If it's a one-off, okay, man, hey, brother, I'm here for you. But dog, when you continue to do the bullshit, there's no empathy.
Also,
all that's out the window for me.
Also, when it comes to those monetary incentives in relation to his contract, the $333,000 for each one of those milestones, I think that he did that to himself. You know, that jab issue cost him a couple games. He was injured, so he was out in terms of, his ankle injury did keep him out like 4 or 5 games or something like that. And then with all the issues that he had, he was out a bunch of games last year. So I feel like his money is already down. Plus, he had to settle some of them lawsuits that he was up against. So, I'm sure that his money's looking a little short, and he just is trying to blame that on the organization. Oh, well, they're trying to make me play hurt. But even though you didn't play, you still hurt. And then you want to say, oh, well, you threw this tantrum, even though he was only 8 passes or something like that. So it was easily something that he still could have got had he not even thrown that tantrum. He could have just left the field and walked off, played this week, and still hit them incentives. So I don't have no sympathy for that either. Everyone's talking about, oh, well, they were freezing him out. They weren't throwing him the ball. Well, first of all, I think he was averaging 5 or 6 passes per first half, and he was right around that. And he was saying that he couldn't get out of his breaks and couldn't run his routes right because his ankle was hurting, but they're also freezing him out. It just didn't make any sense. And so for him to be trying to act, or for people to be trying to say, oh, well, they were freezing him out and they were keeping him from making that $1 million. Well, he kind of put himself in a position to be at the end of the season still trying to hit an incentive like that. You're the one got that fake card and cost yourself a game. And then you're the one who's injured and you was out for 6 games. And then you was out for 8 games last year. So that ain't no one else's fault but you. You know what I mean? There could be some particulars that the team was supposed to do before they cut him and all this kind of stuff, just the actual process that they might not have followed. But they did that because of the extreme situation that Antonio Brown put them in. So, and if nothing else, doing jumping jacks with your shirt off is just a bad look for the NFL across the board. So
while the game is still going on.
Yeah, everybody looking at you, and then you want to get up, talk about, well, they're not even really here for me. Well, they're not going to be there for you. You're going to be doing all that.
I've coached
this might be the last time we see him.
I've coached the most emotionally immature kids that the city of Chicago can give to me. I ain't never seen that before.
I'll break it down.
Never.
Because
the sad part is a lot of dudes on here, probably in these comments, who still on their mama's bosom is the reason why they want to continue to have sympathy for this dude. The hell with his ass. The hell with his ass. There's no more sympathy, dog. None. There's no more sympathy for a dude who's going to continue to do screwed up stuff like this. You can't have sympathy for them dudes. He's not your child. He's a grown-ass man who made some bad decisions, who made some bad investments, and now he's got to live with his consequences. He's got to man up and learn from his mistakes and move on, dog.
The guy I got sympathy for is Mike Evans. Mike Evans on the Bucs, who done sacrificed, the last 2 years of his production to give it to guys like Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. I'm pretty sure whoever spot Gronk took, those are the guys who we need to be having some sympathy for, because they're taking less production, probably not making the money they could be making to make room to win championships. So, if anybody deserves our salute and empathy, it'd be a guy like Mike Evans, who has made no noise. He's, taking his snaps like a, true professional, and he's got a tough background too. He didn't grow up in some, favorable situation where he can't say, I don't have his own trauma and his own, issues that he's dealing with, and he's handled it like a professional. So I agree. I don't got nothing but, about time they got rid of Antonio Brown. I was happy to see that he got an opportunity, but I'm not feeling bad at all that this has happened to him.
I have a tendency to think how another person is in that situation, and Antonio Brown going through his brain, like he's upset that he had to play for his money. I think the most that he doesn't have those guarantees as big as he used to get. Like he was just on a podcast complaining about it. Like if Tom Brady was my boy, why am I playing for whatever it is, the basic incentives, you know what I
Like
mean?
prove it deal.
And I think the fact that he missed 6 games from injury and then 3 games from the COVID card, and then people want to say, oh, they weren't giving him balls or, throwing it his way, or they were trying to like help him. The week before, they force fed him 15 targets, and he caught 10 of them. And he got mad because by the third quarter, he wasn't playing the way he wanted to play, and then he quote unquote was injured. No, he just didn't want to go back in because he knew that he wasn't getting the targets he wanted, so he was just complaining. Like that's essentially, he was mad that he had to play for his money, and they wasn't force feeding him that game. That's about it.
Listen,
And he stormed off the field.
I'm mad at myself for holding myself accountable for giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm mad because I don't delete my videos. I'm mad at myself for even giving him the benefit of the doubt considering his history. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because I always believe that I deserve what I have, good or bad. Whether I'm on the top of the world or I'm at the bottom of the heap, I take ownership and responsibility as a grown man for the space that I find myself in. I believe that to my core. And so to see other grown men having sympathy for these dudes, and this is the reason why we live in this cupcake society as it is today, is that men are not allowed to be men. This is a grown man, bro. Like we just gonna forget all of the other stuff. Listen, if you give me an incentive laden contract, I'm good with that. I'm perfectly fine with that because I know I'm going to over deliver. As a matter of fact, what I'm thinking in my mind is give me an incentive laden contract that would be better than if it was guaranteed, so that I can over deliver. You gonna wish you would have gave me the guaranteed contract instead of the incentive laden one, and it's a reason why it's incentive laden because all of the stuff that's played out throughout the season, you can't hold yourself together for more than a year, bro. For more than a year, you can't hold yourself together. That's insane that I see grown men caping for another grown man that cannot get himself together, that can't get right. Literally can't get right from what was the name of that movie? Life, I think.
Life.
Can't get right. Jesus Christ, bro.
You can only be mad about making Sorry, let me just say one point. You can only be mad about making hundreds of thousands of dollars in a first world country. Like, how are you mad that you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars that is not a millions, but at least hundreds, and then you just have to play a game? You know what I mean? You've been playing it for 11 years, and you choose to do this every day, and you're still. And people want to say, "Oh, CT, he's getting upset that he's not making millions, and he's making hundreds of thousands."
And please don't tell me that this dude's getting to the bag when he couldn't even.
This is what we're mad at.
When he couldn't afford to pay a chef that wind up exposing him and getting him suspended for all of these games. I don't want to hear none of that, bro. I got more money than your favorite NFL player. I'm gonna just say,
hey, man, it's a lot of it's a lot of dudes that sit down the pee out here, man. And I can't stand these excuses they making, though. I can't stand that, man. That's sad. We can't stop making excuses for this dude about CTE. Because let me tell you this, CTE didn't affect him last year when he acted like he had some sense. I promise you that. Why ain't CTE kicked in then? No, but he acted like he had shit because he knew he had no choice. I seen
his college photo, bro. He had the golds in his mouth. He was doing like this. Did he have CTE then? When he was at Central? I'm just curious.
Hey, man, we could have got Marshawn. He lit. He probably had some gold chains, too.
I'm going to kind of get Action Jackson this real quick. What's going on, brother? We can't hear you. I don't know.
Oh, mute.
No, he's not on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was trying to see, like, it seemed like everybody, like, more upset on, you know what I'm saying, like, how he acted instead of, like, really what, like, conspired, like, throughout, like, even what AB did and, of course, like, what the coach did, like, both was very unprofessional. It wasn't just AB being unprofessional. The coach was unprofessional as well. Like, he lied on multiple press conference, like after the game, after everything had happened. And I watched the podcast that he had did, and he gave like like some of the details and stuff, like what was going on, and for his relationship towards Tom Brady. And a lot of stuff that y'all saying, like, he never said none of that stuff about not getting targets and all that other stuff. Like, a lot of that stuff is hearsay. He didn't say
No,
a
it's
lot
not.
of this
It's
stuff.
literally written articles, and you can go on ESPN.com where the team gave a statement specifically about the fact that they were saying that Antonio Brown was complaining, and other players, they said that they can confirm it, but that Antonio Brown was really complaining about not being targeted, and it had nothing to do with the injury. That was what Antonio Brown said afterwards. That's not what the team said.
Like I said,
Plus-
he wanted 15 targets like last week.
Hey, y'all, hold on because he got a slight delay because he's on Bluetooth.
Okay.
He wanted
So-
15 targets like he had the week before. That's it. And he was mad that he only had 4 by the third quarter.
If he
But
was
that's still
injured, why
with
did he play?
a game and a half, that wouldn't have stopped him. That wouldn't have stopped him from getting his money. Like, he would have got those 8 catches with no problem. Like it got to be some truth to him being hurt and not being able to go back out there.
Listen,
gotta be
Then
bro.
why did he
something
play?
else within
If he was
that.
hurt, then
Like I
why did he
said,
play?
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm not making no excuse for how he acted. He acted real stupid. Like, that was stupid. I'm talking about for him, like the coach saying, "You're done," throwing the throat gesture across his neck, and like him saying, like,
The coach is
his
better than
mentality.
me. I would have told him, "You a bitch. Fuck your feelings. Get the fuck off my field." I wouldn't have did none of that. I think the coach was being
I mean,
correct.
he said, "Get the fuck out of my field." That's
Okay,
what he
cool. Then
said.
me and the coach is in alignment.
Okay, so he got off the field. He just got off the wrong way.
I mean, actually, you're not wrong what you're saying, but let me ask you this question: who do you think is going to get more benefit of the doubt, though? Bruce Arians, who is a respected coach for like the last 10 years or something like that, before he came down with his illness when he was with the Colts, he was a highly respected coach, or Antonio Brown, who has been on 4 teams, and he didn't talked or acted his way to getting cut. Not like traded or nothing like that. He got cut from 4 different teams. So it's kind of, when you think of it that way, yeah, Bruce Arians, he might have been out of pocket talking to Antonio Brown any kind of way or whatever it is. But that's how I would imagine. That's how NFL and probably college and maybe some high school coaches talk to people on the sideline.
I talk to people like this on YouTube.
Right. So I'm
Don't
sure.
tell me you can't take it and you a grown man making millions of dollars.
Coaches don't do that. If you listen to anybody like Shannon Sharp, coaches do not talk to grown men like that. They say you can get away with that with high school. My high school coach talked to me like that, and you get away with that a little bit in college. But grown
Well,
men
guess what?
in the NFL, you do not talk to grown men like the NFL. Like I said, I'm not excusing what he did, but what I'm saying is he said he didn't want to wear a logo no more. Like I said, he did. He acted in an idiotic way. Like I get that he acted in an idiotic way, but Bruce Aaron owns some fault into what expired.
Okay,
Like, he
cool.
did.
So let's frame it like this, fam. Bruce Arians still is working. Antonio Brown is off the team. If you in your job, right, and you don't like what your boss say, and you flip out, and they fire you, and your boss is still at the job, and you sitting here complaining about the fact that your boss said what they said, what's the end result?
It's not what he said. He said you're done.
No, you're not answering the question. What's the end result?
The end result that he still have his job and I don't.
So what are we talking about then?
What you mean he cut him? It ain't like you can say, hey, coach, you can't cut me. I'm gonna stay right here. Like, what he supposed to be did?
Jesus Christ. Okay, listen.
But there's a way
I'm confused
you
with
handle
you.
stuff, man. There's a way you handle stuff.
What was he supposed to do? I'm saying, if you take
I can't hear what he's saying, bro.
Yeah, you chopping up.
Let me tell you, my man, Action Jackson. Let me tell you what he should have did. He should have handled it professionally. There's a way and manner you handle. Finish out the game, do what you have to do, then have a conversation with this man after the game's over. Or if you don't feel like the conversation's going the way you need to with the coach, then talk to the GM or talk to the owner. But there's a chain of command. He should have used that. Instead, he did like my man Logic, man. He used that end energy and went that route with it. It's not cool, man. It's not the smart thing to do, man.
Real quick, man. Like the issue that I have is the accountability. Because he compared himself to Gronkowski. Gronkowski got a guarantee. Well, I ain't got no guarantee. Brady ain't my friend. He ain't get me no guarantee. It's like, dog, he was the reason you played in New England. He's the reason you're here right now. I'm pretty sure that Bruce Arians wanted nothing to do with AB, but Brady convinced him, like, dog, let's give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? At the core, he is a good football player. If we could keep him on the field, I'll overlook him. Let's keep him on the team. Bruce Arians probably had an outburst because in the back of his mind, he knew where this was headed. But on the strength of Tom Brady and his respect level that he had for him, he let that fly. The accountability that AD showed and complained about, you would almost think that what he did in Pittsburgh never happened. What he did on the Raiders never happened. What he did in New England never happened. You have a track record of everything leading up. What makes you feel that with that track record, you deserve a guaranteed contract? You deserve what Gronk has. Gronk and Brady's like that, bro. He's been solid with him. That's why he rode for him like that. That's why he has a guarantee. What makes you think that you're that solid? It's the accountability. Nothing was his fault.
All right.
And Gronk just goes out there and plays and have fun. Like I think AB,
Gronk
like
is
he said,
also
he was
likable.
mad in that. I don't know if you watched that podcast. He was literally mad that he felt that he helped them win that Super Bowl, and then didn't get the money that he quote unquote felt that he deserved. He felt like that Super Bowl should have gave him a blank slate. Everything he did in the past shouldn't have mattered. Recognize that I'm AB, and then give me my money. And then he's probably lingering over it through the whole season. And the fact that he missed 6 games and then missed 3 because of the COVID card. Like he was like, I just think he was mad in
Yeah,
that
watch
game
that C
because
word.
you know what I mean.
Jab
We
The
with
card.
you. We with you.
The
so he was
jab
just
card.
like it's just fuming. I feel like if he took 10 minutes and just sat there and thought through the whole process, but I feel like his ego got in his way and he was being treated like a second or third string, receiver, not the receiver. And he got his pride got in his way. He's like, you're not going to talk to me any type of way. You're not going to not give me targets. You're not going to make me not feel like I'm AB. I'm AB. I deserve 15 targets a game, at least 10. You know what I mean? But y'all only targeted me 3 times in the third, and we losing. We down 18.
All right,
And
hold
last
on,
thing,
hold on. I'm gonna get the
So
Kulu up.
I feel like
Hey,
it's
Ashton
all
Jackson, I see you in the back waiting right there. I know you're driving and your internet is kind of shaky. I'm gonna bring you back up in 1 second. Let me get a couple more perspectives. What's going on, Kulu? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir. Peace and love to everybody on the panel. Shout out to you, JR, for letting me on. As I'm gonna agree with y'all with the majority of y'all's points, but I'm gonna kind of veer left a little bit. I think we have to understand the context in each situation that he was in, right? Receivers, by and far, are divas, right? Very rarely do you have receivers that actually, are professional, that actually don't dance and do things without, having to be extra about them. So like when it comes to the Patriots situation, first let's start with the Raiders, right? As we know with the whole John Gruden, them rebuilding, like the Raiders situation was a toxic situation. The Patriots situation, that's when Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, were going at it, and things like that. Or not Bruce Arians, but Bill Belichick, were going at it. So that situation wasn't the best environment, for players as well. And also, Bruce Arians never wanted AB in the first place on his team. It was Tom Brady, was the one that wanted to, bring him up, his friend, and things like that. So, I don't agree with how he handled it on the field with his shirt, dancing. Like that's unprofessional. That's giving us black men, a bad look, as if we're, like emotional, like can't be professional, things like that. But I mean, I get what he's saying because, like, let's not act like he's trash. He's not. If you look at his stats from just this year, like he has 42 receptions for 500 some yards and 4 touchdowns. If he would have his normal receptions like he used to have 3 or 4 years ago, he would have about 110, 120 receptions for almost 1,500 yards and almost 12, 13 touchdowns. You know, that's
Yeah, but you
number
also
one
have to
receiver.
Whose
You gotta
fault is
factor
that
in
he's
with,
not getting that? Whose fault?
Yeah, you got to factor in that he got himself suspended.
Missed 9.
You know
Oh,
what I'm
no,
saying? Like,
I agree with you on that. No, I agree with you on that. You know, the fake vax card, you know, all the media shit, you know, he should be way smarter and more intelligent about how he moves and how the outside world perceives him, because that, you know, in the long run affects your ability to get a, you know, career or a job. But I just believe that his talent and his production is too valuable, and he should have been getting all of the balls, man. He should be getting 15 targets a game. And I feel like if they would have targeted him more, then maybe the Bucs wouldn't have had a couple more losses. You know, maybe they would have had like a little bit more wins. And I also do believe that
He wasn't there, brother.
It's without
He
him,
missed,
the Bucs
he
would
missed
have never
9
won.
games.
Oh yeah, because he was injured. And
But he also the 3 weeks too. So I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
you're right, but he wasn't there. If he was there, we might have a different story. But he literally missed 9 weeks out of the season.
Plus,
That's
that
half the
game against the Jets, they ended up winning that game. So they came back and won that game after Antonio Brown left. So they don't really need.
But
They
that's
don't
the
really
Jets,
need
though.
Antonio
I mean,
Brown.
but that's the Jets, though. Like the Jets are trash. I mean,
saying.
I would understand if
This
it's like
was
the
his
Cowboys or
contract
somebody
year.
else.
This was the year he was going to get his contract marketability back, and he sold the bag by missing 9 weeks, and he was mad. I'm pretty sure even more in the 3 weeks.
Okay, but I have a question for y'all, right? And I'm gonna use Anton and JR, you know, since it's their panel. If you know, let's say Anton is like Tom Brady, right? And JR is his friend. Anton's gonna make sure that JR gets paid the money that his production's worth, even if he has, you know, his personal stuff outside of, you know, the workspace. Anton's gonna make sure he gets paid. So I do agree with Antonio Brown. It's like if
So
like,
wait a minute.
so like, for
Who's
example,
the person that you land? Whose feet are you laying this on?
what do you mean?
You saying so? Who's supposed to be? Okay,
Yes, I'm using this as an example. Like, since JR is your homeboy and your brother, you're gonna make sure that he gets paid what he's worth. You know, and my thing is
he signing his check?
Who? Tom Brady? No,
yeah,
he's
is
not.
Tom Brady signing AB his check?
No, he's not signing AB check. But if
How
I'm
is
Tom Brady, Tom Brady has a lot more power at the Bucs organization than we give him credit for. If Tom Brady said, "Yo, I want AB to have this type of contract," I'm pretty sure the Bucs are going to work something out to where they can find him that money.
Yo, when are we? Wait. When did grown men become responsible for other grown men?
No, you're not.
The NFL has always been a business.
But
I
if
disagree
I'm
with
your
that, Kulu,
homeboy,
because the opportunity is Antonio Brown just being on the roster.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the opportunity.
Nobody
You
wanted
can
him.
play-
Nobody was even
not only
interested
get
in
on
Antonio
the
His
Brown.
roster,
production-
but let me also make sure he get paid a lot. No, Antonio Brown was on the street before Tom Brady came and rescued him out of that.
This
So
is crazy,
that's
man.
the opportunity.
Nuts,
Not only is he going to be on the team, let's also make sure he getting
This is
$5 million
crazy.
guaranteed. That's crazy.
Like you said, Bruce didn't want him.
And not only that, Antonio signed the contract. Didn't nobody make him sign that incentive-laden contract? But he chose to sign that. You could decline it. You can always decline the contract, and then have your agent to negotiate something different. But he didn't. And then he's gonna sit there and ask a question about why was my contract incentive? Because of your past activities. Your behavior makes me want to sign you on an incentive.
Let me do something
I'm
real
not
quick,
guaranteeing
man.
you any big time money, and you turn around and do some stuff like you did this season.
Hey, Ivan,
That's not what it's
hold on real
about.
quick. I want
So
to give
yeah, he
Kulu's
deserves an
final point, and
incentive-laden
then I'll
contract.
switch it up. Hey, Kulu, go ahead and give your final point.
I mean, appreciate it. Yeah, man. I just think that his production is far more valuable than Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, even Gronk at this age. And I think that he should be compensated for his production. I do agree. The way he handled it, his off the field issues does affect people's decisions in paying you that money. But, he deserves it. His production allows him to be on an NFL roster. That's the reason why Kaepernick wasn't, and he is, due to his off the field issues. You know what I mean?
Young brother,
So,
I hope you don't own a business and you take that mindset, because your business will not last. Just because you think he's a better salesperson, and yet he's out here getting locked up, DUIs, getting caught with a possession of drugs, but he's a hell of a salesman. Hell no.
Well, that's
There's no way I
different,
can
bro.
keep this guy on my team. He's a detriment. No, it's not different. It's not different, dog. The man's a detriment to the team. And for the record, is he really that much better than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? I'm talking about in these past 3 years, not during the Pittsburgh Steelers years, but in his past 3 to 4 years, these 3 or 4 teams, he's not.
If you take his
He's not.
numbers and then scale them
He's
out
not.
over what
I
he
don't.
normally
I don't
got,
care about. I've seen his
then
numbers.
his
He
numbers
is not
are way
better,
better than
brother.
Mike Evans.
Do you
No, he's
think
not.
that? Can I ask a
Mike
question?
Evans
Do
is
you think?
sacrificing numbers because of AB.
Do you think the fact that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Gronk are on the field, and even what's that little Scotty Miller, or those guys on the field helps AB have open targets and have these numbers? You know what I mean?
And the
Like if it
running
was
backs
just
too. The
him,
running backs in the
do you
check down game too.
say
I think,
Le'Veon Bell and
I think it helps him,
to
get
say
one-on-one coverage.
if it was
and
just
stuff like
him
that,
and Juju on the team, do you think he would be playing as well?
I think he still would be averaging the same numbers, man. He'd still be putting up, 1,000 yards, 12, 10 touchdowns, over 80 some receptions. Like he would still be producing. Yes,
But
the
he's not
offensive
worth the
issues.
BS you have to deal with.
Listen, bro. Listen.
No,
He's not worth it.
That's where I agree
He's
with you.
not
Let me
worth
just
it.
say
That's
this.
where I agree with you on.
You use me and JR as an example. Me and JR has this. We have this saying. We have this philosophy. We don't care how talented you are. We don't care how awesome you are. We don't care how phenomenal of a speaker you are on a Lapeef Network or whatever like that. We're building this for long-term legacy growth, and we building a brand. And the one thing that we always say, no matter what happens, nobody is bigger than the brand. Nobody. I don't care how great you are, myself included, JR included. Nobody is bigger than the brand. We don't care about your numbers. I don't care about your revenue that you're pulling in. We have a culture. If you are toxic for what it is that we're building over on the network, you gone.
I agree.
We don't care about that. It is what it is.
All right, cool.
And that applies.
Can I jump in real quick?
It applies to Antonio Brown too. It applies to everybody. Nobody is bigger than the brand. You're not gonna come in here and do what you want to do and say, "But look at my numbers. I should be able to do what I want to do." Nobody is above reproach. Nobody. Everybody can be checked.
I agree with you. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, real quick, man. Can I jump in? It's just real quick. It's just this narrative of wide receivers must be divas. It's not true. It's actually not true. I think, unfortunately, what happens is we're at a point right now in our society where we say, well, this person is productive, so we're going to let him act a damn fool as long as he's productive. And you know what? I pulled it up. I said, let me this up for a second. I pulled up the top 10 leading receivers of all time. You stop me when you find a diva. There's a couple on the list, but check this out. Number 1, Jerry Rice. Number 2, Larry Fitzgerald. Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. Now we got a couple right there, but let's keep it going. Isaac Bruce, Tony Gonzalez, Tim Brown, Steve Smith, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. That don't sound like a lot of divas to me. That sounds like a lot of dudes that showed up to work for 12, 13 years and did their work and pretty much went the hell home. And we didn't hear nothing from, man, we didn't even know Marvin Harrison had a life outside of football until he popped the dude in Philly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this idea that wide receivers, and we do it with skill position guys, and I wonder why it's with only the skill position guys, cornerbacks, wide receivers. I think it's this pass that we give when we say, okay, well, he's talented enough and he got swag and he acts a certain way, we're going to accept. I don't think that's not really the case. That's a myth. If you don't produce on the field, they find a way for you to get gone, and that man finally wore his welcome out there.
Yeah. What's going on, Mr. DR? How you doing? You on mute, just so you know.
How y'all doing? Peace.
Doing fine about yourself.
Yeah, no, I was just hearing everything that y'all saying. When you look at it from a business perspective, he definitely probably did the wrong thing, but you got to kind of look at the position he is financially. And, I've seen some interviews with him. Like, he ain't no dummy. You know what I'm saying? He's not like the guy that we need to feel sorry for. Like, I think he was totally aware of what he was doing and what he was losing, And I give him a shout out because I'm from Seattle, Washington. They had a Russell Wilson camp. I mean, it ain't about no race thing, but, there wasn't not one black kid there, at the Russell Wilson camp. And then, AB, when he throw his camp, it's just brothers everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So he does a lot for the community that we don't see, just because he don't want to sit up there and let those guys talk to him any old kind of way. like I said, I wasn't there, but you know, I mean, he not broke. You know, he doesn't have to play another snap. You know, if he doesn't want to, it wasn't the
I don't know about
best thing for public relate. Well, he got 20 million or more. So
but that man got lawsuits. That man had to settle a case just this past year.
I'd rather have lawsuits with 20
both
million than lawsuits with nothing. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying? Like,
none of us know how much money Antonio Brown really got left.
right. Well, he had 70 worth of contracts. His net worth supposed to be
Yeah, but
about
then you got to
20.
pay taxes.
You know
That's going to take half of that. Then you got to pay agents, and
that's why I said 20. I think he's sitting. You know,
with that, but like we really don't know. So let's assume. Let's take the money aspect out.
Well, he's not the guy that's making 500,000 that's got to kiss butt all day. You see what I'm saying? That's my point. You see what I'm saying?
You do have to kiss butt all day.
No, but you still have
Everybody
rules and
got
regulations, though, my brother. You know
Yeah.
that.
No, he signed. And
still
from a
have rules and
business
regulations.
perspective, he signed up for it, just like the little extra incentive and stuff. You know, that's everything you signing up for. So he should have knew that. Just like with Marshawn Lynch, the situation when you know, he didn't want to talk to the press and you know everything, and the way that played out, and the way they tried to villainize him
but he was a man and he
doing.
accepted it. He accepted his fines. He even was putting money aside for his fines because
He's
he
smart
knew
with
it.
his money.
But he accepted. He accepted. He manned up. He's not making excuses for himself like Antonio Brown's doing. He acts like a woman. And when y'all call him a diva, he's a true diva. He's going around on a media circuit doing all this. Well, who does that? Oh, a grown man. I'm talking about a man who stands up to pee, not a man who sits down to pee, who does stuff like what he's doing. And then go out and release his album the same day? Now, you ain't no man. I don't know what you are. In 2022, I don't know what y'all call him now. But you ain't no man.
acting like a
So don't
clown
ever
in
call that
public.
man a man.
A man acting like a clown in public ain't no difference than a girl being on OF. You gonna get the same type of disrespect from people, and people will not gonna take you seriously.
Yeah, but when
So
it comes to
you
the
can't act like a
community
clown.
and you see hundreds of black kids that, you know, can't afford to go to these camps and you know, everybody give Russell Wilson the you know, he the GOAT. And,
What does what does this have to do with anything?
meaning that he does a lot for the community. You know, this is his
That's
business
supposed to mean something to
decision.
me?
I think if he wants to walk out the field because he's pissed off, I think that's his decision. That's
Okay, then-
my
then-
that's
It
my
is
point.
walk.
Wait, wait, wait. Then why-
Jumping jack, wave,
I think
through
thugs in my
things.
community do
Oh, y'all, one at a
away.
time, one at a
Give
time,
dinners
y'all.
away.
Hold on, y'all,
I see
hold
them
on.
donate money.
Hold
Donate
on.
time.
Well, you know, it got a lot to do with the culture. You know, the coaches, they kind of cater to the players. And, you know, this has been going on for years. It ain't like way back in the late 80s, you know, when we played,
Bro.
you know, Pop Warner football. You
But
know,
hold
we
on.
listen to the coach.
Why
Nowadays,
why is he going on a media tour then? Complaining about it if everything is cool.
it's a lot of business things that he's into. You know, it could be this new clout culture. We don't know. All I know is that man's got a bright head on his shoulders. That's what
he's
I'm
doing this
saying.
because
He does. He's into a lot of
Reeves has a
businesses.
bright
He's
head on
doing
his
a lot
shoulders.
of things outside of football. That's my point.
Right. And so
Darrell
he's on a media
Reeves,
Hey,
tour
tell
because
Marshawn
all
Antonio
of
Brown
those
to come
things
holler
are
at me.
about to be
Right.
I'm
ruined.
willing to play Big
Hold
Bank
on.
Take Little Bank with Antonio.
Listen,
With
Darrell
AB,
Reeves,
I don't know
Yeah,
about
I'm willing to
Marshawn
play
Lynch.
Big Bank Take Little Bank.
Okay,
hey,
smart.
man.
I'll take
Hey,
my
I-
chances on that.
Not him.
I'll take my chances on that.
Hey, I salute you, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's on his media tour because all these things that he might allegedly have going on is in jeopardy. And so, you know what I mean? The what brand, you know, I don't know if he has like a deal with a certain apparel like Nike or something like that. I don't know what his sponsorships are like, but I'm sure his agent let him know, like, hey, you not being on an NFL roster is not good for whatever business venture he might have going on. Or the
Right.
fact that he exited the field. If he just would have took his helmet and just walked to the locker room, you know, very unceremoniously, then it would be a different narrative going on right now. But the fact that how he left, the unexplainable reason on taking off your shirt, doing jumping jacks and playing up to the crowd and then running off, I think that he thought this was going to shine a light on the Bucks. And he was like, oh, why would Antonio Brown act like this? There must be something going on with the organization. So I think that he overplayed his own hand, thinking that he had power where he really didn't have any. And so he was thinking that, oh, if I'm going to do this, everybody's going to think that there's something wrong with the organization. They're going to take some microscopic look at what's going on. And Antonio Brown's going to be, admonished or whatever, or he's gonna people are going to be on his side in terms of the controversy, and he kind of forgot about his own past. So he might not be a dummy, but sometimes his actions show otherwise. You know what I mean? If you're not a dummy, then that means that your public image is on your mind at all times. Tom Brady, when he's in a press conference, he tries his hardest to not say the wrong thing because he has his brand at the top of his mind all the time. And if Antonio Brown is supposed to be on his business and he's got an album coming out, he's got a fashion line coming out, he's got all these other things going on, then why even put yourself in a position for people to confuse who you are as a person, what your intentions are, and on and on and on. So I'm not disagreeing with you that he has some things going on and he's not a complete idiot, but then how do you explain his actions? You know, he can say all the best things in a podcast and make it sound like he's just a victim, but we all saw you. We saw what you did. You know what I mean? This isn't like something that happened and there wasn't no video, so it's just a he say, she say. No, we all saw how you acted, and we've been seeing how you've been acting for the past like 6 years, 5 or 6 years. So this isn't like a one-off situation. This is really the bookend of a long series of issues. So I just think that a lot of this stuff he's brought on himself. You know, we can give him the injury. Okay, cool. You missed some games because you hurt your ankle. Fine. But everything else, the lawsuits, the issues with Robert Kraft, the blow up on Oakland, what he did this year, him and the weird little back and forth that him and Juju Smith-Schuster had back when he was in Pittsburgh. All of that stuff could have been unavoided. All of that stuff is unforced errors on Antonio Brown's part. So if he's so smart, he's not, he's playing he's playing that 3D chess that people talk about, where maybe I'm just too slow to understand the moves he's making, but I don't see how this is doing him any benefit at all. I don't see how not being on the field and trying to call out organizations and trying to call out your teammates and trying to make it seem like everybody else is the issue and he's just the victim. I don't see how that's doing him any favors at this point.
He is a dummy. His biggest contention was saying he was injured. If he was injured, he should have walked off the field with his head down and like wobbled off, acting like he was injured. He took off everything, threw everything, and then had the audacity to run, wave, jumping jack. Like he should have literally wobbled off the field, acting sad, and he probably would have been fine. He would have been on the team or kept, whatever it is, and got even more sympathy from everybody instead of this hoopla. But he wants like attention. That's it. It's all attention. He wanted to leave that stadium with as much attention and clout as he could. He didn't want to stay on that team.
I do you one better. I would have went into the blue tent and stayed there for the whole rest of the game. Anybody need to come here? No, y'all can't, because Antonio's in the tent right now. He's hurt. I would have had a conversation with a trainer. Me and the trainer would have been side by side the rest of the game. What are we going to do about getting my ankle back together so I can be ready to play for next week? But no, he didn't do that. Instead, he acted like a little child and had a temper tantrum.
No. He dropped a new rap song right after that.
Let me ask you a question, DR. You mentioned about the camps, him having young black kids at his camps. Let's just say hypothetically, we had children in this particular camp. How would you differentiate or explain to them if that particular favorite player, there's video that comes out of him in the locker room, being serviced by a porn star, or him actually running off the field in that situation? So, a lot of that stuff is counterproductive. Yes, on one hand, he does this, but on the other hand, how would you explain to these kids who are looking up to this guy, how would you explain all that other stuff to them?
I mean, I'm sure he will not tell them, even though, we do things that, we might, even our children, we might do things that we tell our children not to do. I doubt that he's just going to tell them to disrespect the coach and stuff like that. He has a positive message when it comes to the kids. Now, he's human, and we do things that are counterproductive also. You know what I'm saying? Rather, if it's something on a small level, running a red light or speeding, or we all do things that is totally counterproductive to the production of our family and our life. He does things, and maybe he's one of the ones with the bad attitude that slipped through the cracks because he ran a 4.2, and maybe his bad attitude shouldn't have got him to the level that he's at now. and he's a loose cannon. We know that, but you know, he is human. He's got his business and stuff together. He's not like one of the guys that needs to play 5 more years because he's broke. You know, that was my point. You feel me?
Mr. Dr. But without action behind your words mean nothing. Your words mean nothing. So you can tell me to the blue in the face what you're going to do. You have to show me in your actions. I don't know how you raise your kids, but that's how I do with my son. I have to put some action behind it. If I tell him I'm going to take your phone if you don't do such and such, and I never do it, he's not going to take me serious. Who will?
Right.
So you have to have some action behind your words.
And it's not really a good look that over the past, 3 or 4 years that everybody points to last year as his most obedient year. You know what I mean? Like disobedient or like bad years in regards to attitude and how you're dealing with your bosses and your teammates. Those are supposed to be outlier years. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he just had a rough time. He was going through a rough time in his life. He wasn't really getting along with the coach, but he back on track. But it seems like the opposite with Antonio Brown. Like, of all the seasons, the past 5 years, we could point to 1 year where he really didn't make a lot of noise, even though away from the field, he was fighting lawsuits. He was fighting all these text message controversies and all this kind of stuff with his chef, with his personal trainer. He recorded interaction with the police in regards to his children. You know, I think the reasons, all of the issues that Antonio Brown is going through is really not football related. It's really his attitude, his on TV antics, you know, on the internet antics and things that he says. And so I think that that's why he has to be on prove it deals. And that's why he gets so vilified, is because this is the kind of person that he's presented himself to be. And we know that the business of football, they're just as much about image and optics that they are about production on the field. So, you know, plenty of teams who go 0-17 will say, we don't want that kind of distraction here in the locker room, even though they suck. So, you know, we know that it's not just about production. There's also some character issues that come into play.
Okay. Agreed.
Nico, Suave. All right, DR, I'm going to rotate you out. I appreciate you for calling in and support, sir.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, thank you. What's going on, Nico?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing phenomenal. What you got for us?
Man, I totally agree, man. He caused his own demise. You know, going back to Pittsburgh with the going live in the locker room and then going to Oakland, causing that demise. He only had to be on the roster for 2 days, $30 million guaranteed. You talking about you want to get out of there, go to New England. They say keep your nose clean. You text an old girl. All of this is because of him. You know, he wants to blame the media. But it's all he did it all himself. He did it all himself, and now he wants to play the blame game. You know, he wants to point the finger at everybody else. And I think if he really held himself accountable, people would, you know, people might receive him differently. But I think now, you know, you done pretty much crossed the only dude that had your back in Tom Brady, coming at his trainer, talking about his trainer owe you $100,000 and all that. I think it's over. I think, you know, it'll be rough. It'll be rough for him to get back into the league. I mean, he's going, hopefully, in his case, somebody will see some good in him, but I think it's over for him.
Hey, let me say this. I think if he gets with Brandon Marshall, you know, somebody who's had experience with dealing with some mental issues, because I really think that man's got some mental issues. If he gets with him, I mean, he's going to me, for me, a team doesn't even take him serious. If I was the owner, you need to sit out the whole year. Don't come back 3 months later. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to go now. Sit out the whole year. Get your mental together. Get yourself together. Get some help. Seek some therapy, some counseling, some therapy, whatever you need to do, and talk to somebody like Brandon Marshall. Have a conversation with him. And man, how did you handle these type of things? I know you were experiencing those type of areas where, you know, you kind of went off the rails at times and did this and did that, had some legal issues. Talk with that man, and maybe, just maybe, you know what I'm saying, Brandon Marshall could go to one of these teams and vouch for you. Get with Tony Dungy. He could go to some of these teams and vouch for you. and maybe you can come back and get a chance after a year or so. But for you to try to come back next season, man, I as an owner, I could not take that chance. I could not take that chance on him because it's not worth it. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. If he's going to give me 3 good months, then the other 4 months I get this. No, it's not worth it.
Let me ask you this, Hank. Would that Brandon Marshall discussion, if you Brandon Marshall, would you do it in private? Would you do it on his YouTube?
No, it has to be in private because I don't take you serious. And if I was Antonio Brown, it should be in private because now I think it's going to be more for another show. And it's can't be about that. It can't be about the show. You got to have that conversation, those sessions in private. You got to. And the only way it's going to come out if Brandon Marshall let it be known. Antonio Brown should be going, well, I talk. No, then now you're doing it. You're doing it for show. Don't get your publicist to do it. If Brandon Marshall wants to share that, hey, me and Antonio Brown sit down and have a conversation. We talk. Yeah, that's cool. But Antonio Brown, you shouldn't be saying anything. You ought to be going into a hiatus. We should know you still around right now. You ought to go into underground and just keep to yourself. Don't say nothing, and let some of this stuff blow over that can blow over, and deal with the stuff that you have to deal with. But I don't think he's going to do that because right now his circle he has around him is a bunch of yes men. He don't have no guy around him that's going to tell him, hey, dude, you screwing up right now. You dropping a bag and you're not doing the right thing. He don't have those type of people around him. He got the yes man around him. They're going to tell him what he want to hear. And so until he changes his circle and makes some changes within himself and look in the mirror, it's going to be the same old Antonio Brown, unfortunately.
Now, let me ask all of you guys this. Do you think any of these antics are CTE related, or this is just his doing?
It may be, but from what I've seen, guys who suffer from CTE tend to do self-destructive things, not on the field. It's in their personal life. They take more risks. They deal with depression. They self-harm. You know what I mean? Like this is like some 7th grader spazzing out right now, bro. This ain't even like if you look at what happened with Junior Seau, he kind of withdrew from people before what happened. There was a guy that used to play for the Bengals. I forget his name, man. Do you remember Travis Henry?
Yeah.
He was a big 6'4" wide receiver.
Come on, Chris Henry.
What was that?
Chris Henry.
Right. He got into it with some woman he was in, and he made the crazy decision to go jump on her truck while it was moving and fell off and killed himself. You know what I mean? It's usually kind of like this behavior where you don't care about your own life. You don't value your own life anymore. You could kind of look at it this way, but this is kind of like look at me. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of like that look at me type of situation. It's not really a situation where like a lot of these guys, remember there was a guy who played for the Bears back in the 80s, Dave Durrison. He wound up hurting his family and hurting himself or whatever, based. And it's usually they hurt the people around them and themselves. It's usually not like this immature spaz out thing. Now he got cleaned up real good. Who was that? Javonte's birthday cleaned him up real good when he was with the Steelers and he was out cold on the field. I wouldn't doubt it. That man is taking some vicious hits, but this it's I'm gonna harm my family or harm myself. This is I'm just showing my ass. This just looks like immaturity right here, bro.
Yeah.
And it might not be CTE. It doesn't just have to be CTE. I don't want to automatically assume that there is something wrong with him, but I also don't want to automatically assume that there's not. You know what I mean? Hank brought up Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall was diagnosed with a borderline personality disorder. And I think that's a lot closer to maybe what AB might be displaying in terms of just your inability for self-control when high emotions, intense emotions start to come upon you. And so I think that if anything, would kind of align really accurately to what AB does, where, he has this outburst of behavior. He has a very, when it's time for him to be on a show or a podcast, he's always like overly animated. And so it could just be something about him, that he's dealt with for a long time, dating all the way back to college. You know what I'm saying? It could be something that
might be football related from his childhood. You know, it's not necessarily something that we could just rule in 100% or rule out 100%. You know, it could be other things that go on with him. You know, I don't necessarily know his personal history. I know that he's from Pittsburgh, but I don't know what his upbringing was like. You know, some players have a certain kind of upbringing that carry them into their adulthood that impact them negatively. But I would say that there's a lot of guys in the NFL with that backstory that don't take their shirt off, do jumping jacks, and run into the locker room, you know what I mean, behind targets. So it's real hard to pinpoint, but Antonio Brown has to want to get that help, and he has to want to go and recognize that about himself before he can get there, you know. And so before we all give him the benefit of the doubt, he's got to go put that work in to, you know, do some self-awareness, you know, ask for some kind of, maybe not public apology, but make some kind of public, you know, plea to say, hey, I'm doing the work. I'm getting the help I need. I'm not even worried about football. When Gronk was away from the game, he was saying he was going to get his personal life in order, his mental life in order. He wasn't even thinking about football. So any questions about football, he wasn't really even entertaining. And I think that AB needs to go through that same process where nothing about him should talk about football. It should all be personal development, mental health, you know, getting some of his issues in order, getting some of his personal life things in order. That way he can kind of use that as evidence of improvement. And then at that point, you know, as a 34-year-old, he might get some kind of opportunity. But even then, he'll have to be at the mercy of some owner who might like him, you know what I mean? Dallas Cowboys or something like that. Or, you know, where he can just get an opportunity just to make a roster and just show that he's not a bad guy. I don't think that his productive days as a wide receiver are, you know, we're probably not going to see that again, but he can at least get back into the game and then leave it under a better standing. That way the rest of his life can be, you know, some positivity.
He's definitely getting signed again. I can tell you that much. There's a couple teams that are desperate for one piece to try to take him over the hump. Cowboys is definitely one of them. Ravens, Chiefs, maybe the Packers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
That's a
If
tough
you
decision.
can't act right for Tom Brady, who the hell can you not act right for? You know what I mean? Like, they had every infrastructure in place to help him. You got the greatest quarterback of all time. You got a winning situation with all these bets around you, and you still can't bring it in, bro. I can't see no other place he can go where he's going to have it better.
Yeah, I guess that's to be determined. All right, Nico, appreciate you calling in.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe out here.
Thanks for calling, Nico. Hey, man, I look at it like this, man. You know, I don't know. Will a team give him another chance? Yeah, they probably will, like you said. But, man, he's got to do some self-evaluation, man. He's got to look in his mirror and do some self-evaluation. He's got to get it together, man. I mean, I give you an example. Look at Calvin Ridley. He stepped away from the game, man, knowing his mental wasn't right. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man. But it's hard for me to take Antonio serious about anything he's saying right now because he's shown a track record of doing silly stuff, man. So that's his problem right now.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it on this note, and then we get up out of here. Sometimes when you have issues, a lot of times they don't even see themselves as being an issue. So I just think it's very important, as Kyle said and Hank said, that he has to recognize it's a problem because no matter how much we see it, they don't get it. I've been in a situation where I have people that's close to me and I'm sitting there talking to them and I'm just like, they really don't get it in my head. And I'm giving too much energy to the conversation, trying to make them understand. But in their reality, in their head, they're doing everything correctly. And I don't want to say this is CT. Was it CTE, right? Yeah. I don't know anything about it. You know, who am I to really say exactly what it is? I just know it's a problem and I'm hoping that they can identify it. But sometimes when you put information out there, they're so smart that they'll try to like tell themselves, oh yeah, like this is what it is. And it's really not. Like they'll try to like twist the whole situation, play into what the narrative is, and then it's like they're buy into it, but it's only a temporary thing, and then they're right back doing the same thing. So I think that he has to do like a deep that he has to want it. Somebody in his circle has to be like, look, man, you're really not getting it. You're really fumbling in the bag. Yeah, I get that you had these side deals, but this right here might be a bigger bag. Like there's something that has to click upstairs for him, and he has to see it. Everybody else we can keep doing these shows and they can say this and that, and they can get these little side contracts, but it's not going to fix the problem. This is only going to be something for now, and it's going to keep getting worse. Like there are a bunch of people that we know that just like, filter through as parents and so forth and that, and then it's like, damn, they really have a serious problem and they really don't realize it. So I just hope he get the help that he need, whatever that may look like, man. I appreciate you guys for having such a great discussion today. And thank you guys for watching, man. It's been an interesting show. Make sure you guys get the likes up on the way out. Shout out to the sponsor, Teach Hanley. And till next time, man, we out.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, no problem.
Thanks, yeah. Bear down, baby. Bear down.
Have a good Sunday, fellas.
All
right, brother.